Hey, I'm Dale, but you have to call me Dragon.
I'm Brennan. You can call me Nighthawk. You can follow me through the misty mountains of Avalon on a translucent steed.
Let's take a picture. It'll last longer.
I remember when I had my first beer.
Oh, wow. Last time I said that, I fell off my dinosaur. You said a mean thing first.
You don't say that.
Hey, I want you out of
All right, are we live?
We are live.
Well, what's going on, Rob?
Nothing.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, you got an orange solo cup and I got a red solo cup. Bottoms
there
up.
we go. This is Yakima, Washington. This is where I live.
That's awesome.
It's a little to my hometown.
I've been all over the country. There's not many states that I haven't been to. Been through California and Arizona, and I mean, pretty much all down south. And there's a couple I haven't been to, but one of them is definitely Washington. And Seattle is definitely is one of my want to go to spots at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely get you up here. It's a pretty cool city. And then, of course, love to take you to the Experience Music Project, big, huge museum that Paul Allen, one of the co-founders of Microsoft, and he used to own the Seahawks and the Portland Trailblazers. He has this big music museum, and there's that Eddie Van Halen Kramer there.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like he also owns the third or fourth Gibson Les Paul made is there. Yeah.
That crane you're talking about, I actually I didn't build one, but I painted that replica for Jimmy Carr. He had a kind of like it was a kind of a cheap knockoff 5150 that, you know, the neck was pretty much shot on it. The body was kind of just, you know, junky, whatever. And it was kind of a crappy paint job. And he was just like, hey, he's like, could you, you know, paint it like that Seattle guitar? I'm like, yeah, sure. So we had some pictures and I took it back and did it. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. Because I've always wanted to see that one. That's kind of cool.
I remember seeing that show. Doesn't he have that on a poster or something down in his closet? It wasn't his closet.
Yeah, his guitar room used to be in his closet. Now he's got the basement converted. It's actually a pretty neat room. He's got a kick-ass wet, dry, wet setup.
So he's come out of the closet?
It's a calendar, actually, is what it is. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty neat. But
so he's come out of the closet then.
Yeah, he graduated from the closet. Jimmy Carr came out of the closet. And we should say that when if he jumps in here, we'll definitely give him a heads up. We didn't totally sneak attack this today. I actually kind of gave you guys a little bit of a heads up. But everybody, welcome. Kurt and I just thought we'd do a show today, kind of just go live for a little while, and definitely today is a special occasion. It is Wolfgang's birthday, 3/16, and Wolfgang just turned 30, right? 30 years old, I think. So bottoms up to Wolfie, happy dirty 30, bud, and I hope you enjoy your day today. And I would imagine your dad is upstairs watching down with a big smile on his face, not only because it's your birthday, but also what you've been doing, and you know, the album coming out soon and the 2 kick-ass songs that he put out. That's pretty freaking cool. So definitely excited about that. So happy birthday, Wolfie. Happy 30.
It's cool. Rob and I are both parents, and we both have sons. And Wolf, he's I'm sure has exceeded his family's expectations. That dude is definitely talented. Everyone calls him a kid. We call him a kid because we grew up with him being a baby, right? But did you see his post on he posted a picture of him and his girlfriend in the car or something yesterday?
Yeah.
The guy's got it going on, man. Seriously. He's the future, man. It's cool. It's really cool seeing him, for sure.
Yeah, he does. He's just as talented, you know. He's got that Eddie Van Halen gene. He's got that Van Halen gene. And also his mom. I mean, he comes from 2 famous people. And with two parents with a lot of talent. So he's definitely got it. So that's cool. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Who we got? We got the axe. We got 6 fingers, 6 strings and 10 fingers. 6 fingers. Yeah. 6 strings.
I got your 6 finger right here.
Yeah, I know, right? Tripod. We got Johnny Boone. Johnny, what's up, man?
Hey, Johnny.
Hi. The Chad, what's up, man? Kale Joe. Hey, it's great you made it, too. Definitely glad you're here. Pat, what's going on, man? Tristan McCullen. Very, very, very cool. Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, definitely. Ted, what's going on? I just want to say thanks to Rob for your videos on wet, dry, wet. I was able to complete my wet, dry, wet last week, and it just sounds cute. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Good for you.
Oh, cool.
If you get a chance to post in here, we can actually get into that a little bit. Would love to see what you ended up doing, and you're very welcome. I would give Chris Hubbard, all the credit in the world for helping me with mine. But as a matter of fact, wet, dry, wet. Bill Kelly from Van Haga, as the New Yorkers, Van Haga.
Van Haga.
He'll call up on the phone and I'll be like, hello. He's like, hey, Rob, this is Bill, Van Haga. And I'm like, yeah, I know who it is. It's like, I know he's Van Haga. But anyways, he's a great guy. Bill's a good friend of mine. He came out a year and a half ago or whatever it was and saw the Van Halen room. He was like, huh? Holy crap. But great guy. But anyways, he called me up and he was like, he's like, hey, I want to set up a wet, dry, wet. What do I need? And kind of went through what, you need the 3 cabs, obviously. You need a power amp and, the Eventide stuff and all that and the gray box and all that. So he was pretty, he's pretty pumped. So I think he's going to be working on that too. So that's pretty neat. But yeah, that's cool, man. I just would definitely be interested to see what you did.
So here's the poor man's wet, dry, wet attempt. This is kind of like awesome. the Boss. Was it PS? Is it PS3?
It's
the
harmonizer.
PS6. PS6. Yeah. So this is a more pitch box, and it has a harmony, a pitch shift, and then detune. And if you go to -2 or -1 cent on this thing, you get that, for unlawful carnal knowledge, balanced sound. It's not as pronounced as the Boss, but with that being said, on the wet, dry, wet, have you checked out the new Eventide pedal that came out, the red one?
Yeah, I was actually just going to mention that. Yeah, it
stereo out on it.
Yep. Somebody just asked me the other day. Somebody sent me a message. Hey, Rob, did you get that new Eventide micro pitch pedal? And I was like, no, I don't need it because I have an Eventide pitch factor which does more than that. But that being said, if that thing came out a year ago or this whatever, I probably would have went with something like that. It's nice having the time factor and the pitch factor right next to each other. They are the same size. It fits in there probably better. But I will say if I probably would have ended up with that because that's freaking cool. That's an awesome pedal. And Pete Thorne did a great video on that. Pete's awesome. He's an incredible player, incredibly knowledgeable on what he's talking about, and I always love his videos. His videos are just kick ass. The deep dive. You see the deep dive video that he did with Eddie's sound. Yeah, that was one of the most. I learned so much from that. So Pete, if you've ever watched this video, keep them coming, man. But yeah, that is a great pedal, and I think the Boss PS6 Harmonist has been around for all these years, and that has just been such a kick-ass little pedal, and it's great if you're running a mono rig. If you only have like one amp, only have like a combo amp or something like that, and you want to get that bouncy for unlawful sound, you can do it with just that. You're not going to have that huge stereo separation, but you will get that detuned sound, and when you turn that thing on, it's great. But that little pedal you got right there, that thing is kick-ass too. But this micro pitch thing I think that's going to really do well. Definitely.
I'll probably upgrade to the micro pitch just because I I wouldn't even call myself a weekend warrior. I'm a white collar player, if I could say that, where it's in my office right here. You know, I'm not playing live. Like your wet, dry, wet mix or setup is amazing, but I have a 40 watt PV combo amp, and I never play it because it's too darn loud, you know? So I play 90% of the time I play on my TXR 10X.
You gotta make a high crying noise.
That built you a house, didn't it, Mom?
I was gonna make that high crying noise. Yeah.
But anyway, I think I'll get it because I can plug it in and play at low volume. Versus I'll probably have no use for a wet, dry, wet mix because I don't play live. You know, I really play in the confines of this room. I can't wait to hear your setup in person because I'm sure it's way better than obviously what it sounds online. But the new stuff they're coming out with, dude, 10 years ago, we didn't have this stuff, which is insane. 15 years ago, it's come such a long way, man, which tells me that it's only going to be more at our fingertips. The industry is blowing up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, seriously, 10 years ago, I still had a great guitar collection. It was probably about half the size of what it is now. But at the same time, back then, 10 years ago, I was running a running through a PV 5150 combo, which I love. I still love those amps. And I had an EVH 50 watt head and a 2x12 cab, and I had them both set up. And I was running the PS6 Harmonist. I had two of them, and I was running one, you know, in a DD3 Boss delay. And I mean, I was getting a great sound. I mean, it sounded incredible. But at the same time, I mean, like you know, the stuff that these guys are putting online today and the stuff they're doing in their computers, I mean, it's just like, holy crap. I mean, it sounds insane. But I mean, my wet, dry, wet rig, like I said, I'm running it looks like a mini PV 51, a micro PV head, 5150 head, because but it's actually a 15 watt 6505 PV that's just been modified to say 5150 and all that. But it's the same thing, anyways. It's basically the same thing as 5150, or it is.
You're running the old Van Halen 3 staged rig.
Yeah, kind of. But I'm actually running more of a balanced rig because in Van Halen 3, he didn't have that harmonizer going. Right. Mine is set up. I have the three cabs. If you guys watch the video of the Luxor Club in '95, you know, the opening of the tour, Eddie had three white cabs, and that's kind of what I was going for when Hubs and I set it up. So I only have three 1x12 cabs. Wet, dry, wet. And I'm running that.
That's why I said me.
Yeah, a 15 watt head. And then I'm running through an eventide time factor, which is giving me two separate delays. You know, one's up, and the other was up. So you get that ping effect. And then I'm running the eventide pitch factor, set the harmonizer. And I got on the left side, it's running -9 cents. And on the right side, it's running +9 cents. And that's how Eddie ran it in balance. And that's just giving you that huge stereo separation. And those two effects don't run into the effects loop. And this is what Chris Hubbard told me. I'm actually running, it's coming out of the head, going into those, then into the Bray box, and then goes straight into the cab. And what that Bray box does is it allows the power tubes of that head to really kick in. You know, because if you run it through a effects loop, it's still going to sound good, but you're really not getting the power tubes they're not being totally utilized. And that's what I was trying to explain to Bill from Van Halen the other day. You know, get the Bray box because it's going to allow you to get such a full sound. He's such an incredible guitarist anyways. And that's pretty much what I'm doing. And then from my guitar going, you know, what I have running in front, you know, in the line going into the input, I go from my guitar, I go into, I think it goes into the wah, and then it goes into the, I might have these mixed up, trying to think. Goes into the wah pedal, then the flange, the EVH flanger, then the EVH phaser, and then it goes into the Boss. What do you call that? That brown Boss pedal. It's the octave pedal. That
I got it pulled up right here.
Then it goes into the
the super octave.
Yeah,
super octave.
And then right into the input of the head. So that all runs in line. But the Eventides, those run separately. Those run, through the braid box, and that's how you get the better, rather than going into the effects loop. And that's, I'll tell you, even though there are only 3 cab 1x12 cabs and a 15-watt head, that freaking thing. I mean, you could gig with that. I mean, it's I can't even turn the volume up past like 2.5, 3. It's so freaking loud. So it's definitely more than I do. But I always called it the baby balance rig. But it's pretty cool. So yeah, if you ever come over to check it out, that's cool. But Jimmy Carr's got the same thing. Hubbard's got the same thing. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Since Rob's not down in his basement, I'll cyber stock his equipment for you.
Oh, and I got a power amp I'm running too, obviously.
Do you ever watch the is it the he's on YouTube, the Villigent, is that how you say it? Long-haired gentleman. He just bought a EVH 5152 tour head, and he plugged it in and played it live.
Yeah, I know.
Did you watch that show?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm always checking that stuff. We probably should go.
Eddie had upgraded the tubes to different tubes than what came stock, which was pretty cool to hear. Yeah, man, it's awesome seeing all this stuff come out. Jeremy White, you watch him?
Yep.
His interview with Tom, Ed's old guitar tech.
Yeah, Tom.
That was incredible. How he was talking about setting up his guitars and what FU tone stuff he used on his bridge, and it's pretty interesting that he didn't upgrade brass blocks in any of his Wolfgangs, but he did use all the titanium screws and saddles, which was kind of cool to hear.
Yeah, it is cool. It's interesting when you look at, speaking of Futon, I was actually just texting Adam the other day. We were kind of going back and forth. Adam Reaver from Futon. He's awesome. Oh, by the way, this is the real Connor Johnson here. This is my son.
Hey, Connor. When they say that your dad can take you out of this world because he brought you in?
Yeah.
You can take him out.
I don't know. He's still pretty tough for an old guy.
Yeah, I'm slowly dwindling, though. But anyways, so we were talking, just a little bit going back and forth. And Adam's supposed to come out at some point. Him and Scott Smith, good friends of mine, both of them, they're supposed to come out. We're going to shoot some machine guns. They've been dying to come out and shoot some of my machine guns, and I'm going to take them out to the range. So one of these days they're going to make it out here. But anyways, the funny thing is on Eddie's, this isn't Eddie's, obviously. Yeah, this is Eddie's Stealth. I have it. This is my Stealth, obviously, USA. He did have the titanium nut, and he did have the, I think, the screws, and probably the blocks. But it's funny, he had a stock block. He didn't have a big brass block. And, other than that, we'll get into these guitars in a few minutes. And then even on the, there we go. And even on the Tour Relic, the interesting thing was, on the Tour Relic, everything was totally stock. He didn't have any titanium stuff or no stainless screws. And the nut was just your basic stainless. I say basic, it's not basic, you know what I mean? But he kind of chose to just stay stock on this thing. And I actually asked Adam one time, I said, why did you not upgrade that? I mean, especially, and Adam just said it was one of those, it was a timing thing, and Ed was just like, nah, it's fine. He just didn't really seem too concerned about it. So Adam didn't want to poke the snake too much. But that's basically why the Tour Relic didn't have all the fancy gizmos, because Ed was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. That's
I
pretty
think,
cool.
and correct me if I'm wrong, I think he got that guitar like 2 or 3 shows into that last tour. He didn't take it out with him.
No, it wasn't into it. He got it before they did the Jimmy Kimmel show. They did the TV show with Jimmy Kimmel. They did the what's her name? The blonde lady there. I'd like to say something, but I won't.
Pam.
No. Pam. You say Pan? Pan? No, it's Pan.
With an N.
Oh, there was an N on it. Yeah, that's right.
It's like
it's like calm. Yeah.
Shut your mouth. You're just coming off stupid.
Hello, Miss Maybe I think I can really help out with this Pam dilemma. That would be great.
So it says here that
shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You're coming off stupid.
It says here that your reference is Jesus Christ, the Savior.
Yeah, we're really looking for someone we can have make contact. I love that part. Why don't we interview you? Why don't we interview you? Yeah, that's sometimes a helpful procedure. You can stop pointing at me.
Rob and I are going to have to quote Step Brothers today just to get it out of our system. So mind us.
How much do you make a year without taxes? I don't feel comfortable answering that question.
Oh, it's a classic.
Shut your mouth, essay.
So anyway, you were talking about the tour Relic.
Ellen Degenerate or whatever her name is.
Okay.
Yeah. They did the show for Jimmy Kimmel, and they did that show, the Ellen show. Oh, hey, Barney. And Eddie was playing the Stealth, and then it was like literally 2 weeks before they, went off to for the first show. Chip delivered that Wolfgang to Ed. And the story goes that Ed loved it. He fell in love with it, but the neck was just a little bit fatter than he liked. So he sanded it down a little bit to make it more like the profile of the Stealth. And it was still not quite there, but he still played it because he thought it just sounded better. And to my knowledge, Ed never once took that Stealth out for that whole tour. It was always that tour Relic. Never once did the Stealth come out. Once they went on tour. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I love that guitar. I was never a huge Stealth fan. It was just such a drastic change from like the Music Mans and the maple necks and the curly quilty maple guitars that he played. I love it, and I'm glad I have mine, and I'm not going to let it go. I do like it, but
seems like he was reaching.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We got to take a look at what we got here. Rusty says, "Where would I go buy a 5150 guitar replica? Are you talking about an EVH, or are you talking about a custom one? If you're talking about a custom one, Lock Guitars. Talk to."
As Johnny would do.
All right, buddy. I'll see you later, man.
I hope you got a kick out of that, Johnny. That's what Johnny always does every time your phone goes off. Oh.
Yeah. Don't forget that. I talk to you later. He's heading off to the gym. Andrew,
what's up?
Chris Locke would be
music therapy Laz. So I'm just saying hi to some peeps.
Oh yeah, we got to go through that. But just I'll answer his question. Chris Locke is going to be the guy that's going to get you the necks and the bodies. Randy Butala from Butala, he does amazing 5150 necks. You got Music Craft, and if you're looking at people to paint them, you got Nick Amendolara, the kid, and you got Chris Hubbard. I mean, I keep saying that all the time, and that's what I would do. If you're looking for the EVH version of the 5150s, you got eBay. You just got to keep your eyes open. The EVH stuff is just boom. It's just like they can't keep it on the shelves right now, which is definitely cool. I'm glad for the EVH brand.
K&E makes bodies, necks. Warmith, and Futone makes bodies too. I know they're like sold out right now, and we can talk about his guitars as well later if you want. Those things are badass.
Yeah.
But the availability of 5150 guitars, if you want to build one, I was telling actually Music Therapy Laz on Johnny Bean's Discord. Ding. He asked about a 5150, and dude, 10, 15 years ago, if you wanted one, it was tough. Like you had to find the perfect pacer. And I can't remember now. Did they make a pacer with the single humbucker? Because the Beretta will snap, right?
But it had a tone knob, so you had to fill the tone hole. I mean, not a big deal, but I mean, yeah, I mean, you could get them, but you know, there was Mitch from who's the guy that Mean Street Guitars was doing them back then. There were some other guys. There was a guy by the name of
BMW.
Yeah, Roll Guitars. I mean, I'm dating myself. This is like 15, 20 years ago, but you could find them because I mean, I was doing that stuff back then, and it was tough. I mean, it was tough to find the stuff. I had some good contacts, so I could do them, but it just wasn't as prevalent. You know, I remember when I first started trying to find a maple hockey stick neck was, you know, finding a banana neck. You couldn't do it. I mean, everybody was doing 5150s with rosewood necks because you couldn't find them. You know, I mean, Scott Smith, my good friend Scott, when I met him back in '96, I mean, he was hooking me up pretty good, but I mean, it was all under the cuff back then, you know.
Oh, that's your connection. I was wondering who you knew. Well, I mean, put the two and two together now.
That's years ago how I was able to get the stuff that I used to get, you know, and there's some other guys out there too, but yeah, I mean, it was hard. It was definitely hard, but I mean, honestly, that's what you want to do. The Axe says, "Damn, just bought a PS6." Well, I mean, it's a great pedal, dude. Hang on to it.
Yep.
You know, there's nothing wrong with keeping it. It's going to do exactly what you want. If you want to get the micro pitch pedal too, that's cool. I would not ever get rid of that PS6. I just think it's such a classic pedal. It's been around for so long, and it's been, you know, it's only been a couple of years the thing really started exploding. I mean, I've been using mine for 15 years, and I think it was just one of those hidden gems people didn't really know much about, you know. You know, but yeah, I would keep it.
This stuff's stair steps, you know, run with the PS6 for a while. And if you really like the sound and you want to upgrade, you can always sell it for what you got into it or keep it and upgrade. That's the beauty of all this stuff is, for me, if you like it, you can upgrade yourself if you really love the sound. So like with me, with this pitch box, I paid $150 for it, but I'm going to upgrade to the Eventide when I get some money and then, you know, go from there. But
I just like, you know, I sell pedals when I would upgrade, and now I like to keep the stuff. I mean, even if I don't use it, I just like having it. I mean, that little blue, you know, skinny little pedal you got, that's just such a cool looking little thing. I mean, it's something, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just, if you ever went on vacation or something like that, and you know, you were going to be gone for the week and you wanted to take a little tiny practice amp with you. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's cool to bring with you, so you don't have to upset your main rig, you know? Yeah.
I know, look at this. It's just like a tiny, I mean, these things are tiny.
They're so
$50,
cool.
You know?
Yeah. You can't go wrong. You really can't. But
Rob, real quick, Ted, for her, is that how you say it? Fair? Do you prefer maple fretboard or ebony on your EVH? Tonal difference. So I'll refer to Rob since he has an EVH.
Yeah, I think you're way down the chat. I'm way back in the beginning. People were banging out questions I think we missed. But yeah, to answer that, I mean, I go back and forth. I mean, I'm still a maple guy. I love the maple. If I had a preference, I guess I'd say maple. I don't know. But I mean, the ebony, I like the look of the maple better, and I kind of like the feel of it a little bit better. But I mean, you know, on the ebony board on my Stealth and my Tour Relic, I mean, they're so smooth, you know. And I think, you know, the stainless frets and all that, they help too. But I've always, I mean, if I had to choose, I'd stay with a maple. I just like the look of it a little bit better. But I'm not a professional guitarist or anything like that. So, I mean, I know what a good guitar is and what a good guitar sounds and feels like, but I mean, I don't really have a preference or so. I mean, other than just I guess I would default to the maple just because I like it, the style a little bit better.
I would have to say
Clayton James Hicks today, Tuesday. What's up?
Yeah. The maple neck looks cool when it's worn and dirty. You can't beat that classic look of a dirty maple neck. And I think it is harder. So it does produce a different tone, but that's not the only thing that's hard.
Yeah, it's like dirty underwear. I mean, it just feels better.
But I remember reading Eddie talked about the ebony, how slick it was, for doing vibrato bends and stuff. It's just a little bit slicker.
It is. I mean, what do you think? I mean, what do you prefer?
I have all maple necks, and then my like Les Paul knockoff is, I don't even know what it is. It's not rosewood, but I prefer maple. Yeah, it's hardier. It's just a better wood. I think with it being what they call it, a closed-ended fibers, it doesn't absorb moisture like some of the other necks. And they're low maintenance. You don't have to do any maintenance really on them because when they get dirty, it looks cool.
It's funny. I remember when I first got that you said that I got my first PV Wolfgang. It was 1997, beginning of 97. And it was a black standard, patent pending. And I've had about 3 of them since then, patent pending models too. And I've had a couple ivories and whatever. But I remember that first one. I mean, it was the first like real awesome guitar I ever got. It was the first Van Halen guitar I ever had. I mean, I had a couple of Kramers, but they were all just like Focuses or whatever. Nothing against that. They were great guitars, but I remember I'm polishing it and I'm taking the little the little rag underneath the strings and going real tight with the frets and trying to make sure and because I wanted to keep it so nice looking, and it's like
a new car, right? When you're 17, 18 years old.
And not that I'm very good with I'm not rough on any of my equipment. I'm not rough on any of my guitars, but even my Wolfgangs and my Music Mans, I don't ever clean the necks. I don't ever polish the bodies. I mean, I don't want them getting dinged and dented, but I don't ever clean them. When you look at I know Johnny's in here. When you look at Johnny Bean's Music Man, he's got one of the first ones that came out. He got his back in '92, and he still has. I mean, that neck is just freaking nasty, but cool nasty. It just looks so freaking cool. And I remember, people have asked me about this for so long, so many times, and I can't find. I know I have the magazine somewhere, but I remember Eddie Van Halen said in an interview when Music Man was repairing the headstock of the 5150 break, and they put the Music Man logo on it and put the 7 tuner on. I remember they cleaned the neck, and that neck is still pretty damn clean today because he really hasn't played that neck since 1990. I mean, who knows what he did in the studio? He certainly has played a lot. Even 2004, he had a Charbel neck on it, but that neck was freaking nasty after the 84, the 5150, and the OU812 tour. And I remember in that article, Eddie says, they cleaned wherever it was. I remember he said, they cleaned the neck on my 5150 and I wanted to wring their necks. That's what he said. Yeah. That's what it said in the article. And I wish I could find it, but it's just one of those things where it's like, he's never cared about that, and I just think it makes the neck feel more, I don't know. And I certainly understand people that want to take care of their guitars and they want to keep the necks clean and the bodies polished. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like a nice, nice car. You want to keep it nice. But for me, I just like those. I just like the guitars more weathered looking. I don't know. Well.
The one thing I do, Rob, is I like to polish the frets like once a year.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever done that. My wife got me like a fret polishing kit for Christmas, with a guard. And dude, it's like putting on a brand new set of tires. It's incredible when you polish the frets. You know how sometimes they get kind of gritty?
Yeah, they get gritty and icky. I wish I knew how to do it. I have a friend of mine do it for me because every time I do anything that has to do with touching frets other than playing, anytime I do anything to the fret, the freaking thing screws up, the fret shot, frets out. I'm horrible when I come around doing any work to frets. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to any of that.
I'll show you what I use on the fret, which won't ruin it.
Hey, British Blues, what's going on, man? How you doing?
So this Miracle polishing cloth was recommended from Phil Knight. He uses it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a soft cloth, and it has a polishing compound in it. I just cut off a little piece, and you can use one on a whole guitar. And this thing will be completely black when you're done with it, like polishing, a piece of silverware or fine, antique furniture or whatever. But if you take steel wool to it, 4/0 steel wool, and then that polishing cloth, and then wipe it clean, that thing would be smooth as glass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, though. When you clean and polish frets, they just are so smooth, All right, we got to go back.
You read this article, right? The DiMarzio one?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah,
I printed it off.
Huh?
I printed it off and had it spiral bound so I can keep it forever.
Oh, nice. Dude, I'd love to do that. How did you do that?
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, man, you and I got to. Can you do one for me? Seriously, I'll pay you for it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Seriously, I sent one all the way to New Zealand for Fender Guru.
Oh, seriously, let me know what you got into it. I would love one of those. Seriously, that's a kick-ass article, and the tag off of that. I mean, I don't know. I've always said that the 5150 body was basswood, and apparently now they're saying it's ash. And I do know that the 5150 guitar was in Tennessee last year. It was in Nashville, and it was being looked at they were going to be making probably a $25,000-$30,000 replica to sell of it, and that was in the works to a certain, or it was being looked at, and the 5150 was in Nashville at the time, and it's being said that the body was tested as ash. Maybe so, but what I didn't know about the 5150 guitar is that it was a very heavy guitar. Everybody a good friend of mine got to play it. He said it's very heavy, which would lead me to believe that it is ash, because mine is basswood and it's light. So again, we'll never know, but I will say it's either basswood or ash. It is definitely one of the two. It's definitely not poplar for that.
It says in here, in your buddy Dr. Gerber. Paging Dr. Gerber. Paging Dr. Gerber. He doesn't agree with me, but it says in this article that his number one guitar, and it doesn't actually say the 5150, was basswood in this article when they were producing the Ernie Ball Music Band. So when I get you a copy of that, you can reread it again. But I see in that article that it says it was basswood.
Yeah, that's what I've always said. I've been saying that for years, but I really have no proof, but who knows? But I will say it's either basswood or it's ash. It's definitely one of the two. But
right. And I got a good friend of mine who always says it's just like ice cream, whether you want vanilla or strawberry. It's up to you.
That's what I always say. Yeah, everybody asks. I get messages from people almost every day. Hey, Rob, what should I get? Should I get the Bumblebee, or should I get the Pattern, or should I get the 5150 red, white, and black? And it's like, like Eddie said, buy them all. We make more money. Remember that back in '96? You know, he's like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, we put out a best of, and hey, boom, there you go. Which one should I buy? Buy them all. We make more money. But you know, anyways, you know, my thing is, you know, I mean, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, what are you gonna have for dinner tonight? Do you want pizza or Chinese? I mean, it's up to you. I mean, what do you like? You know, I mean, I like them all. Obviously, the red, white, and black is my favorite. But yeah, I mean, I get those kind of questions all the time, and I always say, it's, hey, what do you like better, strawberry or chocolate? You know, what do you like better? Ice cream.
That's what I was referencing you.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right.
Real quick, what you were saying about the buy them all, Jeremy White again, we'll plug him, and hopefully I'll message him so he can watch this show. But he just interviewed Michael Anthony, and the interview was on YouTube.
But I saw that, yeah.
So he asked him if they're going to remaster any of the Hagar albums, and he said it was in the works. But since the passing of Eddie, they're talking about doing a best of box set. But some of those Hagar songs will be remastered. But man, I wish they would just remaster 5150 and OU812.
Oh, yeah,
That's all I'm
definitely.
asking for.
Especially, I mean, that album, just that album is such a great album. It has no freaking bass at all. It's like, ugh, it drives me nuts. It's like if you could listen to OU812 like Mine All Mine or you know, Sucker to Three Piece and just have some freaking booming bass to it, it would bring that whole album to freaking life, you know. But yeah, I did see the interviewed Mike. That's pretty freaking cool. That must have been awesome.
Yeah, you got to check it out. It's only 20-some minutes, but actually Michael Anthony talks about when Andy Johns came in the studio when they were doing the From the Awful album, and Andy Johns played bass. Did you know that?
No, I know. I mean, I'm sure he could, but I did not know that.
So first thing he said to Michael Anthony, he's like, we're going to get some fucking bass in this album. And Michael Anthony was like, yes. And if you play it, you know, after OU812 or 5150, like you can tell finally they got some bass going, you know.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome. I'd love to interview Michael Anthony. Of course, I'd probably just ask about Eddie and Eddie's guitars the whole time. He'd get pissed at me. Michael Anthony on the interview, and I'm just asking about Eddie. Hey, what did you ever get to play Eddie's guitars? You know, what the you know,
what was it like standing next to him on stage?
Mike's just like, I'm gonna go now. You know.
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh. Jimmy Carr is here. Whatever, Jimmy. We haven't been ignoring you. Johnny Bean says your neck, his Music Man neck, is crazy, Warren. That's an understatement. Simon, what's going on? Chad says love roasted maple. Yeah, me too, dude. That is awesome. Kale Joe. What's up, bud? What else we got here? The path. See. Hey, Rob, Chris here. Hey, what's up, bud? That 5150 I sent you pics of was very light. Definitely not ash. Oh, yeah. Okay, now I know who you are. Yeah. Those were some cool pics, man. Thank you for sending those. I don't know if you want me to talk about that. If you do, just say go ahead, or if you don't, just don't say anything, and I won't. But a gentleman sent some pictures of a guitar that apparently was one of Ed's. It looked just like the 5150, and had been gifted to someone years ago. It was pretty cool, kind of cool looking. But anyways, yeah. So I think I think we should talk for a few minutes about some Wolfgangs for a couple of minutes, since it's Wolfgang's birthday.
That's great.
Since I'm not doing the show in my basement, there's so much more room for activities down there, you know. But
step class.
Step class. Hey, you like guacamole?
No power tools. No power tools, Dale.
It's just my toothbrush. It is not your toothbrush. Never mind. We're done anyway.
Can we make bunk beds, Dad? I don't care. Is that a yes or a no? I don't give a fuck.
This is going to be the greatest night ever.
So I was going to say, Rob, real quick, I went to Nashville in November and toured the Gibson factory. And after I left, I had realized that Chip Ellis was down there.
Oh, really?
And I should have tried to see if I could go do a tour. And I don't know if the Fender factory that he works at is public or open, but I got a friend that lives down there. So next time I go to Nashville, I'm going to try to get into that Fender factory and check it out. Because I don't know, do they make the Wolfgangs there?
I think they do. I'm pretty
the
sure.
USAs?
Yeah, I mean, I know they make them in different locations, but I think they do there too. I know David Allen Wright lives down there, and he's asked me to come down a few times. I'd love to go down and see him at some point. I'd like to hook up with him. He's a really cool dude. We're always talking guitars and stuff. He's got a great collection.
Oh man.
Does. But yeah. As far as the Wolfgang's concerned, I got kind of a cool one, and I've showed this before, but this is a replica of one of Ed's prototype Wolfgangs, and very, very cool guitar.
This is the beginning of the Wolfgangs, the EVH.
If you get Andrew Bennett's book, Eruption in the Canyon, you'll see a whole bunch of different pictures of these. These were basically some of the prototypes they did of the Wolfgangs, the EVH Wolfgangs after Peavey, and they had number 1, 2, 3, 4. They might even gone up, but you can see pictures of the number 2 and some of the different ones there in that book. But this particular one, for whatever reason, the number 4, which is now in the Hard Rock Cafe in Philadelphia, Chris Hubbard and I actually saw it. We went to when we were coming back from the Met a year and a half ago. We saw the Frankie, went out to see the Frankie together, and stopped in at Adam's shop, Futon, hung out with him for a while. That was awesome. Got to spend time at his shop and see some cool stuff and play through some of his rigs. And then spent the night at our good buddies, Scott Smith's house. That was so much fun. Finally, after all those years, got a chance to see his collection. Makes mine look sick.
So he lives in the same city as
No, I mean he's maybe two and a half hours away, but two and a half hours away. But he's in that general area.
Yeah, they're like best friends or whatever. They're always hanging out together.
Well, I mean, those two, they were the ones that brought the Frankie to the Met. I mean, they're the ones that actually had it, set that whole, that whole setup up, the whole, the whole, what do you call it? The
display.
amps. Yeah, the whole display. They did all that. Scott he put a whole bunch of work into that. But that was pretty cool. But
so,
anyway,
Rob, real quick, was the white Frankie that they had on display, was that Scott Smith's?
I don't think so.
Or was that
because I mean it could have been one that I think it might have been one that he built for the display, but it wasn't one of his. It was either one that Chip built or it was one that Scott built. I want to say it was one of the ones that Chip built. There's some pictures of Eddie back in 2000. When that Smithsonian interview with Ed in 2015, 14, whatever it was, there's pictures of him holding one of those guitars. So I think those were some of the ones Chip did. Some of the 78 replicas, I think that was one of those. And they also had a Bumblebee there. But yeah, so that was a really cool display. I'm really glad I got to see that. But this particular guitar was one of the prototypes, and Eddie would play this a lot on the 2007. I say 2007, 2008 tour, but I don't believe he played it much in the 2008 point. At that point, he had kind of graduated to an ivory Wolfgang. But in 2007, he was playing this one. And one of the reasons that this original guitar is actually at the Philadelphia Hard Rock Cafe was because he played it in Philly live when he was there. So at some point after the tour was over, this guitar found its new home at that Hard Rock Cafe, and it's still there. At least it was a year and a half ago. And it's a arch top body, and only has one knob, and it's got all the EVH hardware. It had a maple neck, and no logo or anything like that. The only difference between mine and the real one is Eddie's was tilt back, whereas this one's a special. This is actually a PV Wolfgang body. Chris Hubbard built this.
Oh, is it really?
This was a deep blue PV Wolfgang body, and Hubbard filled in the tone pot, painted it, did the stencil thing, got all the overspray, freaking nailed it. And he even chiseled out, whoops, geez, there goes the chandelier. The cavity, like what Eddie did.
Did he use a butter knife?
No, we used a chisel and a hammer, actually, and he did it the same way Eddie did. And like I said, I got pictures of the real one, like right to the glass up close, and it looks just like that. And the story goes, is one of the shows, I don't know what show it was, before the show, Eddie wasn't happy with the sound. So him and Matt Bruck literally got a hammer and a chisel, and they chiseled that out about an hour before the show, and they were moving the pickup around a little bit. And that's just one of the things he was doing, you know. But yeah, but this is a really cool guitar. Hubbard painted it and, you know, did all the work to it. It does have EVH pickups in it. So other than just being a PV Wolfgang body, which is exactly the same as the EVH bodies, exactly the same profile, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
For this model, it works anyways. It turned out great, and it's a great playing guitar. It definitely feels good. And back to that maple thing, I do still like the maple necks on the EVH guitars. But I thought this would be kind of a cool one to show, the number 4 prototype. It's not a replica that you see a lot of out there. A lot of people don't have this one. I know Scott has one and Adam has one. But I almost thought of getting rid of this guitar a year ago or so for something else. And I'm glad I didn't, because this is just a real, it's a cool one. It's a very, you know, it's a rare one. And I'm glad I kept it. But yeah, it's a fun guitar. And, you know, seeing the real one up close that's always cool, you know. So a
couple questions. The neck pocket, the EVH neck fits in the PV body perfect. Like, is the truss rod and all that the same?
Yep. It did. Yeah, it actually fit in perfect. I haven't taken the neck off this, so I can't tell you if there's any shims in there. Maybe, I don't know. Doesn't look it, but I mean, there could be. But I mean, yeah, I mean, they're basically the same profile, and they do fit. If you guys remember, Eddie's little 3/4 Wolfgang that he played little guitars on was actually a PV Wolfgang body that he had an EVH neck put on, because he had those. He had an amber one and he had a sunburst one, or tobacco, whatever you want to call it. And he got those guitars back when he started working with PV back in the mid '90s, and they were going to be called Wolfgang Juniors. They were going to put out, you know, the standards, which were the archtop USA ones, and then they were doing the USA specials, which they came in like white, black, purple, but they had no binding, and they were flat tops with one tone knob. And then they started making the Indonesian ones, or the I think they were Indonesian, or were they?
Yeah, Indonesian.
Yeah, I think they were Indonesian. And a lot of people don't like those. I mean, they were hit or miss, but anyways, they were supposed to be making these Wolfgang Juniors, and they never really came out. They just kind of sat on the back burner, and something PV never did, but Ed had those too. So years later, when he leaves PV and he goes to EVH, 2007, you know, obviously he played the 3/4 inch Frankenstein, but then in 2000, I don't think he played little guitars in 2012, did he? No, I don't believe he did. I don't think he did that.
Nope.
But he did it in the 2015 tour, and he brought that guitar out, the tobacco one. And it's funny because you can see it's even got the PV Wolfgang Floyd on it. So Floyd says PV, and it's that same PV body, but that mini neck, you know, it's an EVH neck they put on there, you know, fit like a glove.
So there's 12 of those mini PB Wolfgang's made. I've been in contact with a gentleman that owns 2 of them. He's going to be on, this will be a shameless plug, but he's going to be on the 5150 show with Fender Guru. He reached out to me via Instagram. I'm not going to say his name, but he has over 400 guitars, and at least 15 of them were owned by Eddie.
That's
and
cool.
This is public knowledge, so I'll tell everyone because he posted on his Instagram page. But he owns the Without You Wolfgang with the P90s that was used in the song and in the video.
Yep, Without You. Yeah, the red one. Yeah, that's a cool guitar. Hubbard made one of those a few years ago.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he did. He had one. I wished I'd have got it because I had an opportunity to get it because, Hub's got rid of all of this stuff, There's a few guys out there that are selling all their Van Halen guitars, and it's like, I just like, gimme. But it's cool because they're getting awesome stuff and, on the other end too. But yeah, Hub's made one too. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So he's gonna
the real rosewood neck.
Yeah, rosewood neck. He lives like 3.5 hours south of where I live, so we're gonna meet up. And I don't know if he's gonna let me go to his house or if we're gonna do coffee. But he also owns the clear plexi Wolfgang that Eddie took out on tour.
Oh yeah. That was cool. Yeah, there's a picture. I actually saw that guitar. I didn't get to touch it, but in the 2004 tour, we brought that on tour with him. And there was also there was one that it was a bunch of credit cards were all over. It was different. It was an interesting one, but yeah, the plexi one he had in his rack, and I got to see it when I did the 5-star package back in 2004. I got to go backstage and I saw it. It's pretty neat. Yeah, pretty cool.
So if I go to his house, I'll wear a GoPro and I'll FaceTime you while I'm there.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a pen or something.
Yeah. What's up, Nick? It says it's Korean PV. Yeah, that's right. They were Korean ones. Yeah.
Oh, Korean. Okay.
Yeah.
What's up, Simon Williams? Real quick too, Rob, on the number 4 prototype. And I know Hubbard's not on here, but I couldn't imagine laying that stencil down and doing that paint job on there to try to get it right, because you just got to have the perfect amount of overspray on the outside of the card. That guy's incredible.
Yeah, you nailed it. And the funny thing is, you can get these stencils right at the hardware store, right at Aubuchon's. We have Aubuchon's up here in the New England area. It's like an Ace Hardware, basically. Yeah, you just go by and just put the stencil on and just make sure you don't tape it off so you get the overspray. Yeah, he nailed it. But you're right. You can't get too much of it, and you can't do not enough of it because it'll just look wrong. And yeah, and that's one of those one-shot deals. You only get one chance at it. And if you fuck it up, you got to sand it down, paint it black again. But
right. And the other thing too, it's pretty interesting how Eddie is so particular about moving a pickup millimeters and being able to hear the sound difference.
I know. I couldn't tell.
I mean, that's what's amazing about the man. It was his attention to detail and how deep he dove into his tone and what he liked and what he didn't like. You always hear the story about when he was working with Peavy on the amps, and one wall inside one of the amp cabinets used particle board versus plywood, and he's like, no, you gotta use plywood, right? Or particle board.
Well, he didn't like the plywood. It sounded too
thin. He said you gotta use particle board, and they said you can't tell the difference, and they did a test and he could hear the difference. They had 2 amps.
It's insane.
And he picked it out. He did the Coke and Pepsi challenge and he figured it out.
He's pretty spot on. He certainly was, man. He had those ears. But Johnny says, yeah, Chip built a 78 Relics. Yeah, I figured he did. I thought he did. The more I thought about it for a second there, I kind of knew Chip was doing those. Alex says, what food tone upgrades would you need to do a Wolfgang to make it like Ed's 2015 touring model? titanium Floyd saddles and nut clamps. Well, Alex, you must have missed the first part of the show because I talked about that. Ed did not have any upgrades on his 2015, believe it or not. He did not have titanium saddles. He didn't have the stainless screws, and he didn't have the titanium nut. It was just totally standard. I have a steel block in mine, but only just because I just wanted to put it in there. But other than that, Ed just had a standard one. So on this particular guitar, you don't need to do anything because Ed didn't have any of it on there. He just chose to not do it. And Adam did not make any upgrades on that guitar. However, on the Stealth guitar, he did. He had the titanium blocks and the stainless screws and the titanium nut. But on the 2015 Tour Relic, no, there was no upgrades. There was no futon upgrades at all. So
now, Rob,
you wouldn't need to do anything.
They make black, don't they make black screws, saddles, and nuts?
For a futon?
Yeah.
Yeah, they pretty much do freaking polka dot pink. I mean, you can get anything. I mean, I'm on Instagram, and every day I'm seeing all these,
different
all
colors.
this crazy stuff. I mean, it looks cool. I mean, I always joke, and it's like, I think it looks awesome, but it almost, you take these black Floyds or these chrome Floyds, and you're putting purple blocks in there, and you're doing green freaking springs, and I mean, it looks like the guitar has braces. It does. It makes
blue D-tuner.
It's just too much. That stuff's too loud for me. I mean, I love a nice quilt top or a nice flame top or a beautiful guitar, and I love chrome hardware, and I love the titanium saddles and the stainless screws. I love all that, and I love the brass blocks, and I even like the brass fine tuners. That's cool. To me, when you start adding all this crazy blue and green and red and yellow, all this stuff,
chartreuse.
This is just my opinion. It's my opinion. It looks dumb. It looks stupid and cheap to me. It just looks, ugh. It's just too much. It's like, it's like putting a bunch of freaking makeup on a pig. I don't know. It just looks like, ugh.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Not to speculate, but Tom Weber in that interview, he said that he was stripping nut screws every 3 shows. They had to put a new one on. So I wonder if they upgraded to a titanium, because he said once they switched to titanium, they would last the whole tour. So I wonder if he put black titanium nuts and screws in that thing, and we just didn't know about it.
I mean, maybe they did. I mean, I'm only going off of what I saw in the pictures, of the tour. But once that guitar was off the tour or towards the end, there's a whole bunch of stuff that could happen. Joshua says, "Hey, Rob, dude, I'm loving Chris Hubb's work. After watching your 5150 video, I reached out to him, and he immediately got back to me. Chris is a great guy. He did my 5150, and I've showed it a million times. And again, my 5150 is probably one of the closest ones you'll ever see. It's just insane. Adam Reaver has seen and played the real 5150, and Adams and Scott have both seen mine, and they're just like, wow, you could literally hang that guitar on at 5150, and unless Eddie picked it up and started playing it, you wouldn't even know it wasn't a real one. That's how close it is. It's an awesome guitar, and I'm going to give credit to Chris Hubbard on that because he did an incredible job. And I'm also going to give credit to Nick Amendolara because he's done a lot of my guitars, and he does incredibly awesome work. So whenever anybody calls me or they message me, hey, who can paint my guitar? I always go right to Chris or I go to Nick because those guys are just friggin', they're killer. They're amazing. As far as my 5150 video, I have to do an update on that because I actually sat down and watched my video that I did on that maybe a year and a half ago, whatever it was. And I look at it and I'm like, gosh, there's definitely some misinformation on there. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of good information on there, but I would say probably 20 to 25, I don't know, 15 to 20% of the info on there, I've learned more since then. And I could make some changes. One of them would be, potentially diving into the basswood or the ash. Again, I'm never going to come out and say what it is because I don't know. But I would certainly give people the option to kind of think about that. And there's a couple other little things. So I need to upgrade that video, and I need to do a new one. It's funny. I don't even respond really to the YouTube comments that much on my pages, because I'm telling you, I get people that are like, whoa, man, thanks so much. This is freaking awesome. Thank you, whatever. And those are always nice to see. And then I get messages from people like, hey, I watched your video. That's awesome. But hey, check this out. I heard this. And I learn stuff. I learn stuff from people that watch my videos. And I think that's awesome. But I also get the, oh, you don't know what you're doing, and you can't play guitar, you suck, and all that. And I don't even pay it. I mean, whatever. I mean, I guess the fact that people say that means that people are watching it. So that's great, because it means it's actually but it's like, you'll get a bunch of thumbs downs or stuff like that. That's cool. I mean, I don't care, but I don't even respond to the YouTube comments, because everybody knows my Instagram, my Facebook. If you want to talk to me, reach out to me through that. I don't, like I said, you can go back and forth. It's like talking politics or religion with someone. You're never going to get anywhere. That's why I don't post political or typically religious stuff on social media, because to me, social media is about fun and entertainment and good times. It's not about arguing about, I work in a field where I do there's enough of this going on in the job that I do. So social media to me is about good times, not arguing with people. But anyways, so I don't, if you want to message me, through Instagram or Facebook, because I'm probably not going to get back to you on YouTube, just because it's such a wide range of people's comments, but
right.
That's my thing on it. And thank you, Lone Ranger. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching.
Well, I would have to say probably a year ago, close to a year ago to the date, I was laying in bed one night, couldn't sleep. It had to have been February, March time, I believe. I came across Rob's 5150 show on YouTube, lying in bed, and I think it was like a 3-hour show, 2.5-hour show maybe. And I watched the whole thing, and then into another video, watched the whole thing. So I didn't even know who Rob was, didn't know who Johnny Bean was, didn't know who any of these guys were. But Rob's 5150 video was the first one that kind of got me hooked on all of these YouTube personalities. And actually, at that time, I only had 2 guitars, and Rob sparked me into building a couple of guitars in my collection. And of course, I would love to have 50 some guitars like he does, but I really just started building my collection a year ago, and I only have 5 now, but it was all kind of stemmed from that 5150 video that Rob was just referencing. That was the first one that I saw of him. So pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. It makes me feel good. And, like I said, I remember when I got into doing these videos, I mean, being a Van Halen, I'm 47 now, but being a Van Halen fan since, I don't know. I mean, 80, I think I really started paying attention to Van Halen like in 80. I'd heard songs in like 82, whatever, 83. I was like 9 or 10. But I think, man, I was like 10, 11 years old. 83, 84 is when I really started like, oh, this is cool, Jump. And I was like, whoa, Hot for Teacher, Cotton Jimmy. That's when I really started enjoying their music. And then ironic thing is I didn't even start playing guitar until 90s, end of 90s. Well, yeah, 1996, beginning of 96, because the first tour I ever saw Van Halen on was the Balance tour. And I always wanted to see him. I mean, I always loved Eddie Van Halen, but I was always so busy with my martial arts and stuff, whatever. And I always wanted to learn how to play guitar. I just never had the time to sit down and dedicate to it. So I never started even playing guitar until I was 23 years old. I started playing. And I bought myself my ex-wife bought me a Fernandez Strat and mixing another drink. Cheers.
Did it sound like I was pissing in a bucket?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Speaking of that, someone went back and watched Hubbard and my video we did a year and a half ago, the wet, dry, wet video, where the two of us got totally cocked, and I call it the wet, drunk, wet video. Because Hubbard was fucking plastered. Like, I'm talking, like, he starts out playing guitar, and he's an incredible guitarist. At the end of the video, he's like slurring his words, and he's freaking sucking on. I mean, I could play better than him at that time.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like sucking out on the guitar, and then right when the video ended, he like freaking passed out on the floor. And the next morning, we had to wake up early because we were going to the Met to see.
Yeah.
You know, hold on, I'm just going to shut the shade because the sun's shining in here. But anyways, I remember, you know, I didn't even start playing guitar until, you know, 96. And then all of a sudden, you know, I'm just like, whoa, this is so much fun. And, you know, I just started going at it. And then I met Scott Smith, and, you know, there weren't all the pictures and stuff out there like there are today. I mean, the internet was just coming up. You know, I had the dial-up thing back then. And anyways, I started painting guitars and just, you know, like learning from guys like him and Jerry Leica and all that. And it was just so much fun, had a great time, and was doing it all those years. And then fast forward to 2015, the girl that I was dating at the time, her and I went to a wedding in Chicago. And I think she went out with her parents came too. And she went out with her parents one night. I stayed back in the hotel, and I was just messing around. And somehow Johnny Bean and I, who had been friends since, you know, late 90s, whatever.
Streaming days.
Yeah, we just started chatting, and he's like, hey, man, he's like, Dave Nesdell and I are doing this show together. You know, this Van Halen show, man, you should come on. And I'm like, yeah, cool. So, you know, I said, I'll contact you when I get back. So we ended up flying back home, and a couple of days later, and I contacted Johnny, and I started jumping on their show. And it was just so much fun. It was just like, whoa, this is great. You know, it's an opportunity to talk about the stuff that we love. And, you know, Johnny's made a huge dent in you know, the video streaming stuff. I mean, he's
the godfather. He's the godfather. He's the godfather.
And, you know, all these other guys started doing it, and everybody else is doing an amazing job. And I love all the shows that everybody does. And, you know, Dave, you know, he's got Nez Says now. That's such an awesome show. Him and Ty do it. I love those guys. They're awesome, great friends. And, but anyways, you know, make a long story short, it's just so much fun talking about this stuff. And it's amazing when you sit back and you look at something that's been a passion of yours for all these years, and you really enjoy it. You're just like, whoa, the people that are touched by it, you know, it's just amazing to me. I have such a hard time comprehending sometimes. Like, I can't tell you how many times a day, Rob, when are you going to do a show on the 78 guitars? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do it's like, it's almost overwhelming to an extent, but I welcome it. I love it because it's just like, wow, these people love this stuff. I mean, if I could make a living doing this kind of stuff, and I could literally, I would quit my job and I'd do this freaking shit all day long. And I do videos on Van Halen guitars. I do videos on martial arts. I do videos on firearms, fitness, all the stuff that I love. And if I had any little bit of business sense to me, I would literally do that for full time, because that's my passion. But it's so much fun talking about this stuff. It really is. And, you know, and then hooking up with guys like you and seeing what you guys are doing, and all the people that I've been able to meet over the last 5-6 years, and going to NAMM and going to the EVH con, and, you know, it's just so much fun. You know, it's just a great time. I mean, honestly, I'm going to say it like this. My best friends are guys like you. It's you guys. They're not even people necessarily around here. You guys are like my best friends because we have that passion, and, you know, it's just so cool, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, like I was saying a year ago, I didn't even know there was people around like us. And when I saw you, well, I watched all your shows, like probably in a 2 or 3 week span. And then I found Johnny Bean. I started watching the shows that you were on with Johnny. And then Johnny had his phone number at the bottom of his page. And I text him just out of the blue. And I'm like, I said, hey, I'm looking for Rob Johnson. I want to try to get a hold of him. and he totally just gave me your number and said, "Get a hold of him. He's cool."
Really? What a
And
dick.
here we are. Here we are.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The reason I said
Here we
that.
are 9 months later. We're doing a show together. You know, it's a cool thing. You know,
well, I'm glad you did because if he didn't give you my number, I never would have got these cool ass hats. So
exactly.
that's the only reason I talked to you, Kurt, is because of the hats. That's it. You didn't give me a hat, I wouldn't have freaking time a day for you. So no, I'm kidding.
Is Jimmy Carr in here still?
Jimmy is still here. We gotta go. Hey, Allison, what's going on? Allison's here. She's saying hi to you because you give me all these hats. So,
oh, that's her. Hi, Allison. What's the winky face? And her phone number. Oh, that's her private. Sorry, never mind.
a winky face. Johnny said, where is it? He says, you guys were on with me and we're getting very drunk in that show. Yeah, we were. Yeah, we were. Oh, that's right. Yeah. We were. Yeah, that was the wet, drunk, wet show. Not the wet, dry, wet. The wet, drunk, wet show. Who else we got? Jimmy Carr.
Anyway, Jimmy Carr, I owe you a hat. I'll get one put together. I just got to. I got a million other things going on, but I'll get you one. I haven't forgot about you.
Hey, I want you out of my fucking house. No way, Kimosabe. This is my house now. The only reason we allowed you here is because we thought your mom was hot and we could both bang her.
As soon as you fall asleep, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you with a pillowcase full of bars of soap.
You're just curly-headed fuck.
This is a house of learned doctors. This is a house of learned doctors.
You're not a doctor. You're a curly-headed fuck. Oh, God. No way.
What do you got there?
No. Huh?
What do you got there?
This is my tour relic. This is my tour relic. Again, compliments of Chris Hubbard. And those of you guys that know the story, this is a USA Wolfgang. And
compliments of Chris Hubbard. And what's your cat's name?
And my cat, Jelly Bean. Because this was a ivory mint condition USA Wolfgang, and didn't have a kill switch. It was just the regular one. And
I remember watching the show when you the day you got it, or around that time when it was brand new, pristine.
Yeah, and I got it, and I had it for like a day. I went downstairs to make dinner. I was at my old place. It was like a few years ago, 3 years ago, whatever. And all of a sudden I hear a clunk. And I go, what the hell is that? It's like one of my guitars. And normally I don't care because, the striped ones or whatever. But I still care because I want the dings and dents to be right, And I go up and I see this guitar laying on. No, actually, this guitar was in the stand, but it was like this. And then my Shark guitar, my Destroyer, which was not the one I have now. The one I got now was built by Donnie Ward, painted by Nick, so it's awesome. The cat was like running around, and she bumped into the Shark, and the headstock came down and went bang, and it was right around here somewhere, and put a dent in the guitar. So I'm looking at it, and I'm just like freaking, like I'm going nuts, like, I love animals, and like I always said, if the cat's freaking lucky she wasn't standing there, the cat would have punted down the stairs. But anyway, I'm son of a bitch, and I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me! I tried to cover it up, and whatever, was okay. And you couldn't even see it unless you were looking for it, but it just annoyed me. So I was talking to Hubbard the other day. He goes, "Send it to me, man. Let's tour Relic it." And I'm like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yep, I'll do it." So I sent it to this, and this was the second one we did, and it's hard to tell, but you can even see the checking, and I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. You can see all the checking, and he crushed it, man. And it came back, and it's so freaking cool. We put the kill switch in. It came out great. Routed it out, and I did the headstock myself, basically with an X-Acto knife. Just checked it all. And
Was that hard to do? Like,
no,
just
it's easy. It's easy. Just
no. I'm talking like just taking the knife to something brand new.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a first, for a guitar like that. But I mean, it was one of those things where I was like, hey, let's freaking have fun with it. And it came back, and I'm just so glad, I was just like, wow. And then I got an opportunity I went out to visit Dave Nesdahl, and they had just started making, Music Zoo had one of the real ones that they made. And I brought this out, and I brought it there, and I was showing the guys at the Music Zoo, and we had both of them side by side. And this was so freaking close to that. I mean, it was so close to the ones that Chip did. And that's a compliment to Hubs. That's a compliment to Chris. So that turned out amazing. So that's definitely a cool guitar to have. And I'll be honest, if I had an opportunity to own one of those real ones versus this, I'd still want this. A, because it's a real USA Wolfgang. B, because it was done by Hubs, and that to me is more special than having a $25,000 guitar.
Right.
That's
so
to me.
The USA bodies, are they the exact same as the regular special?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
It's just the thickness, the everything. Is it like if you were to take two blanks, is it basically the same chunk of wood, same cut, everything? Yeah.
Well,
it's just one.
The profile is the same. The bindings are a little bit different. The bindings are a little different in the USA's. Like if I show you my Stealth right here, I had before this one. I got this one off of Scott actually a few years back, a couple of years ago. I had a USA special Stealth, which was a flat top. Mm-hmm. This is an arch top. But the bindings on the USA's, can you see the little tiny black go through?
Pinstripe kind of?
Yeah. A tiny little pinstripe in the white bindings. The specials don't have that, or the specials didn't have that. So basically, other than that, and whether it's a flat top or an arch top, that would be different. But yeah, they're the same. They're the same profile and everything. They just, the USA's have a couple more little details like that, But I mean, they all play the same and they all feel the same. I mean, to me, they're all great guitars. The one guitar that I haven't actually had a chance to play is the standards. It's interesting because when you talk about PV Wolfgang standards, you're talking about the best of the best. The USA,
right? They
call it the standards, the arch tops.
I always had a hard time remembering which one was which.
So when you're going back and forth between PV and EVH, standard means two totally different things. Mm-hmm. If you're talking about PVs, the standard Wolfgangs are the best of the best. Those are that's the shit.
Special was special.
Yeah, the specials were the I don't say step down, but the next down. Right. If you're talking about EVH, you're talking about standards. Those are the $400, $500 guitars. Those are the lower grade guitars. I hear they're great guitars. I from what I understand, the Floyds aren't the same quality as what the regular EVHs are. They're just made out of different metals, or maybe the tonal qualities are a little different. I know they don't have detuners on them. That's all stuff you can upgrade. That's easy, But I've never played standards. I'd love to.
Are they Floyd Rose specials? What they are?
Yeah, they might be Floyd specials. If I ever got one, I've always kind of wanted one of those. I call it Talladega Nights, but it's the Tahiti night. The Tahiti night when it's the green and blue, or the chlorine, whatever you call it. I kind of like
the Seahawks one.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the one I would probably want to get because I just like it. First thing I would do, I'd put some zebra pups in it. Then I'd put a chrome Floyd on it, and I'd put chrome tuners on it, and I would just chrome the shit out of it, and I'd make it look like it should look. And that's what I like. I mean, I wouldn't do all the green and red, saddle screws and all the yellow spring. I wouldn't do all that crazy stuff because I just don't like that. But I would definitely do I would definitely put chrome hardware on them, some zebra pups, and I'd trick it out as matte Brooke says, trick it out,
Right. How do you like the white on white pups in that blue one, the new one?
Yeah, they're cool. They're cool. To me, a Music Man this is just, again, me. This is just me. And I'm all for the new stuff. I guess I'm just so old-fashioned. A Music Man and a Wolfgang has to have zebra pups in them. It just has to. Otherwise, it just doesn't look right to me. Sure. That's just my opinion.
Two questions. Two questions for you.
Jimmy,
what's up with the Floyd Roses right now? You can't get them anywhere. I don't know if Cobra Kai Platoon is still in the chat. Him and I were going back and forth. He's looking for an 84 Floyd. Dude, they're sold out everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you used to go on before Eddie passed. You go on eBay, you can get an 84 reissue. There's a million of them on there. You can go on eBay and find, or Reverb, either one, and you can find original German Floyds. But to find a brand new one now is just, it's like I said, it's my show, so I'm going to say it. It's the same thing.
I'm walking you down this path.
It's the same exact thing as gun laws. Biden got in, and now you can't buy guns at all because everybody's buying everything. It's going out of style. You can't buy ammunition. I can because I'm a cop and I can get what I want. But the Democrats get in, and all of a sudden, boom, gun sales are freaking through the roof. You can't touch anything. It's so stupid. Eddie passes. Boom! You can't even buy a Kramer freaking guitar. Well, you can, but Kramer guitars are like, it's stupid money. PV Wolfgangs are going for $4 or $5 grand. That's just dumb. It's like, come on. I actually messaged this guy on eBay, and normally I won't do this. There's a guy selling a black USA special, just black, flat top, one. Great guitar. A year ago, you could get that for maybe $1,200. You could get it for $8 or $9 if you really waited it out. Freaking dude's asking $4 grand for it. It just annoyed me. I was in one of those moods. Had a couple drinks in me. I messaged the dude and I was like, "Are you freaking serious, dude?" And he wrote back. He's like, "Oh yeah." I said, "Come on." I just said, "Come on," with like 4 exclamation point. And it's like It's just, and what pisses me off is they're capitalizing on Eddie's passing. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I think it's wrong. I think it's great that the EVH line is sold out because that's great for the company, and I'm happy for Matt and Wolf. I think that's phenomenal. That's awesome. But the fact that us average Joes, are literally trying to rape people for these prices, it's like, come on. I mean, I understand the Music Mans, the EVH Music Mans have a hefty price because I get that, and I understand the PV Wolfgangs, they should be a little bit more pricey because you can't buy them anymore. But the stupid money that people have asked, I mean, you can't even buy an EX guitar now. I see people are asking $3 grand for EX guitars, and don't get me wrong, they're great. I got a couple. And they're the real deal. They're not knockoffs. They're not remakes. They are real Music Man guitars. They were just assembled in Japan. But that's just it's ridiculous, and it's so frustrating to see that because I see people that are messaging me, coming to me, and there's, "Hey Rob, I can't find this. I can't find this. I can't find this," and now I'm just kind of like, I know, man. It's too bad. It sucks. I mean, especially if you're, a younger kid or you're a newer guitar player, or you're trying to build a collection and you want one of these things. People are just trying to rake everybody over the coals, and I just think it's wrong.
Yeah, taking advantage of it. And you see too, since Eddie's passing, a lot of these collectibles that have been signed by him that people have bought at auctions or whatever they've picked them up at, and then they're throwing them on eBay for 20 grand or 30 grand or 40 grand. And if he wouldn't have passed, they wouldn't be looking for money. They're just taking advantage of the situation, which is stupid. But
somebody's selling a PV Wolfgang special, the Fernandez Sustainer. It's black. and it's a black quilt in there. I think it's like a black quilty type, and it's got a Fernandez sustainer in the neck. You've probably seen it. They're selling it on Reverb for something like $200,000. It's like, you know, and it apparently was one of Eddie's guitars, and
no proof.
It apparently is the one that Billy Corgan was holding in the '96 Guitar World magazine when he interviewed Ed. I've heard that was the one that Billy was holding. Eddie was holding a black standard, but apparently that was the one Billy was holding, and that's what, you know, this person is saying. But I mean, you know, $200,000. I mean, what?
Yeah.
It doesn't even compute. It's like, I don't know. I mean, but then again, at the end of the day, I mean, hey, it's only worth what people are willing to pay for.
Right.
I don't know.
But I read EVH is up 83% their sales from last year or something, which
and I think that's great.
Yeah, it's insane how much stuff has increased. And I think just the guitar industry in itself is booming, especially since the pandemic. Everyone's at home. They're not spending money on going on cruises or traveling to Hawaii or Mexico or whatever. And they're spending their money with maybe old hobbies that they never really got into, or they're kind of re-sparking it. So the music industry itself is really going up, which is crazy because there's no concerts and, you know, there's not a lot of albums coming out, but all these hobbyist people that are playing at home, that's skyrocketing.
Yeah, it is.
My other question was going to be, what are your, let's say, the top 3 guitars that you've gotten rid of that you wish you still had? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about this. You mean like in the last 20-something years?
Sure. You know, like your Steinberger, you got rid of it and got it back.
That would have been one.
Lesson. You'll never get rid of that again. But what are some other guitars that you had that you got rid of that you wish you still had or wish you wouldn't have got rid of?
Well, right off the bat, Scott Smith has one of them, and I keep poking him once in a while to see if he wants to get rid of it and get it back to me. And I'm sure one day he will. But when I 2 years ago or so, whatever it was, not quite 2 years ago, when I had my Steinberger all custom rebuilt and everything by Jeff Babbitt's, it cost a considerable amount of money. It really did, because I can't really talk about the graphics on it, but the only thing I'm going to say is that was professionally redone too. And I didn't just say that, but it was. I'm not going to say who did it, but I'm going to say it was redone because I did the faceplate myself the first time. But I had someone redo the faceplate, and then I also had Jeff Babbitt's completely rebuild the whole thing. That goes to the 0 fret EVH mod, to all new springs and rockers, and the trans trem, 2 new EMG 85 version pickups.
I didn't know you upgraded
everything. It was a brand new faceplate too. That basically ran me like $3,600 to have that Steinberger rebuilt like that. And Chad Wall is watching this, and Chad knows because he had the exact same thing done to his, and he's, you know, him and I talked a lot about it before I made that decision to do it. But anyways, because of that, Chad actually helped me out. He bought one of my, I gifted him one of my 918V guitars. It was the first one I ever did, and I think he might still have it. And but one of the guitars I got rid of also to soften the blow, so to speak, a little bit was my Kramer, my purple Kramer Pacer with Rockinger tremolo, which is the exact one of Ed had, his purple Pacer special.
You don't have that one anymore. I forgot. You don't have that one anymore?
No, it had the original lawsuit Strat headstock, gold Dodo crown heads, gold Rockinger, and it was the purple one, and it was the exact one that Eddie had that he played with Alan Holdsworth at the Roxy, and not the one, but it was. They only made a very few purple ones. Even Scott.
That's the guitar, Rob. That's the guitar he took to Dweezil Zappa's house when Dweezil first met him.
Yep, and Dweezil said it had like a collar bridge on it. No, it wasn't. It was a Rockinger bridge. That's why I wished I could be on Dweezil's show, because there's so many things I would love to add guitar wise, but that's whatever. That's my plug.
We'll get you on Dweezil's show. We'll make it happen.
And for the life of me, I wish Van Halen News Desk would answer me back and would want to see some pictures of my Van Halen Guitar Museum. Every time I send Jeff messages, nobody ever gets back to me. It's like, there's some awesome stuff on the news desk. I love it, but I can't understand for the life of me why nobody wants to see my Van Halen guitar collection. I think
he's buddies with Steve. He's buddies with Steve Anderson on the 5150 show. Another plug. So I'll talk to Steve and ask him if he can message him, and
I just think it would be something people would want to see. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe nobody wants to see it. But anyways, that guitar was definitely one of them, because it was such a rare guitar. And that guitar, I'm going to give credit to, where did I get that from? Hold on a second. I got to think. It came from, gosh. I
remember when you got it. You made it. You did a show, or you were on Johnny's show when you got it.
Yep, and I did, and I did a show. Eric Broadbent interviewed me one time on my guitar collection a couple years back, and I had that on there. I know where it came from. Our good friend John Mancuda. I got it from John. That was John Mancuda.
No way.
Yep, John had it, and it went to me, and John's got some incredible guitars.
Holy smokes! Does that guy have some guitars?
And anyways, that's one. We just throw two others out real quick that I got rid of that I wished I still had. My two burritos and a root beer float, Wolfgang. I wish I still had. Yeah, I wished I had that. I got rid of that. That was one of Hub's. I really missed that guitar. That was cool. It didn't have a real drop the hell tuner on it, but it was mocked
close
up
enough.
Yeah. And I had it tuned down so I could play as is. And I actually have a video on my Instagram somewhere, I think, of me playing as is. But anyways, what else? One, I know there's many. I also had probably my 1995 blue quilt top EVH Music Man.
Oh,
I wish I still had that. I've actually owned two of them, and that was one of them. I wished I still had the blue one. So basically, the purple Pacer, the Burritos guitar, and the blue EVH 90. It was 95 Music Man. Because that, I don't care how much it would be worth today, but it was a great guitar. I think I sold it for $2,200 3 years ago.
Oh.
And it was to build some Van Halen striped guitars. I was building bodies and whatever. But hey, it is what it is.
Right. Do you know? Are you in contact with most people that you sold some of those guitars to, or a lot of them like people you don't know?
Back in those days, I was doing stuff on eBay a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a 9% hit every time something sold. So those guys, not really. That Music Man, no. David Allen Wright got my Burritos guitar, I think. I think it was him.
Oh, that's cool.
And Scott has the purple Pacer, but
he does.
It fits his collection pretty good. But now, normally, when I'm going to offload something to get something else, I just throw it up on Facebook, because it just boom, it goes quick, and you don't have to pay a fee for it, which is nice. Facebook is great. It's just awesome when you want to offload stuff. Nick says,
don't they dictate the price or whatever, or can you kind of put whatever price you want?
No, you can just, well, first off, I mean, if you put it in there for sale, spot, yeah, I think they can, but I don't ever put a price on. I just say something like, message me for, this guitar is available. I put a bunch of pictures up. If you're interested, message me and we'll, whatever. So that's kind of what I normally do. I don't ever put a price up so everybody can see it. As Eddie said with the, when he was on, when he was on Dwyer and Michaels, he goes, I just let the people decide what they want to pay for. Remember that?
Oh yeah. Those are great.
You're Orthodox, whatever. Nick says, what happened to your white PV from back then? Which one? White PV? I've had a couple. You mean the cream patent pendings? Standards? I've had a few of them. If it's that you're talking about, I probably just sold them for something else. I mean, I can't even remember. I've purchased and sold hundreds and hundreds. Well, I won't say hundreds and hundreds, but I probably purchased and sold 100 guitars over the last 25 years.
Yeah. I always liked the satin red one. I can't remember if that was a PV or if that was a EVH. The one you got from I think you might have got it from Nesdal.
Satin red?
Yeah, it was red. And
you mean my the balanced prototype, the one that Jim DeCola built, the version I made of that?
No, red, like that type of red.
There's a Wolf. Oh yeah. That was an EVH special, and it had a maple neck on it, and I threw a ebony EVH neck on it. And
yeah, that thing was sick.
I put chrome hardware on it, and it had black binding. And Hubbard came over one day, and we painted it cream binding, and to make it look like a 2012, 2015 red one that he was playing. Because in 2012, he had a black Floyd on it with a chrome bar, I think. And then in 2015, even though he didn't really play it that much, it had a chrome Floyd on it with a chrome bar.
Yeah, I like that guitar. This one.
Yeah. I did a review. Now that's a USA. Well, that's a USA one, but that's one that was never released. That was a custom one. But you could come close to that if you bought that in a special, and it was an arch top. You would just have to replace the hardware with chrome hardware and throw a maple EVH neck on it, which is what I did. And then, like I said, we painted the cream binding on it, just painted it right over the black. Yeah.
Was that hard, the binding?
No, it was pretty simple. Just I think we used Wimbledon white, duplicolor, and just taped it off and just put a couple quick coats on it, and boom, there you go. It was literally that simple.
You literally sprayed it.
Yep, sprayed it. Yeah, I remember we did that at my old apartment a couple years ago. We started drinking after we did it, but
well, that's a first.
Yeah, I know. Right? Nick says, "Oh, no, Nick, I know what you're talking about." He says, "I'm sure it was the patent pending. It's in a video still." Yes, I think I play. If you go far enough back in my YouTube channel, this is back like 6-7 years ago. I was still married. I was living at my old house. I'm down in my guitar room, my basement. I played "Ain't Talking About Love." I think I played "Ain't Talking About Love" to the backing track of the Tokyo '95 version. Yeah, and that was one of my white patent pending PVs. I wished I still had that. That was a great guitar. And then I also played Black and Blue, I think, on my old Kramer 5150. One of my old ones, which I liked. Hey, Fruitcake, what's going on, man? That sounds funny. Hey, what's up, Fruitcake?
What's up, Fruitcake?
What's up, Fruitcake?
Good. Let's plug Fruitcake Tony's show too. I don't know if you checked it out, Rob. Halenville.
Stuff. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, it goes back to Johnny being the godfather. You think about Johnny, you, me, Fruitcake, Andrew from the 5150 show, Nez, John BL, Music Therapy Laz, all those guys have shows now, and it's like the Bill Belichick. it's like the Bill Belichick coaching tree.
Do your job, yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Funny.
Yeah.
It's crazy though. You have so much fun doing this stuff. It really is. It's just awesome that, I mean, it's so funny that we just get to sit here and be like freaking retards and geek out over dumb shit that we both, that we all like, and everybody loves it. It's just, I mean, I don't know. It's so funny because I mean, like if you went back like 10 years, 15, 20 years, and you basically told people that they could sit home on their computers and do videos, and there'd be thousands and thousands of people watching, they'd be like, what? Are you on drugs?
No way.
It's like my mom and dad, they think it's great. And they've seen a couple of my shows. I mean, they can't make it through a full one. I mean, it's just not their thing. But it's like my dad will, I'll say, hey, Dad, like today I brought Barney for a walk, I got back from the gym, and then I brought Barney for a hike in the woods, and they have some really awesome trails and stuff up behind their house, about 20 minutes away. And my dad's like, hey, what are you up to tonight? I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a show. And he's like, he said something like, people really watch that stuff? And I'm like, right? Like you have no idea. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's great. And it's fun because when I go upstairs and I retire for the night, I'll go upstairs and watch a movie. Like the other night, I watched Den of Thieves with Gerard Butler. Great film.
One of my favorite movies, dude.
Yeah. You know what Den of Thieves is like? It's an updated Heat with Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, and Val Kilmer. It's basically Heat, an updated version, and Heat's freaking awesome too. But anyways, I've seen the movie a million times.
That scene where he's chasing him at the end, and they're jumping the fence, and oh man, that's such a good movie.
Oh, it's awesome. The best part is when they're in that traffic jam and they all know. Fuck,
give me the saw.
Yeah, and the guy gets out with a freaking saw and he puts it on the thing and he's just sitting there and he's like getting ready. He's like, oh man, it's just like I'm sitting there. He's like, get down. They're all coming up.
It's like, get behind your engine block.
I always wonder.
This is why Rob and I are stepbrothers. Seriously.
Yeah. I always wondered how many innocent people got shot in that gunfight. There had to be at least 30 people that got hit. They never went into that. But anyways, sometimes I'll go upstairs and I'll watch a movie and just kind of retire and then pass out eventually, whatever. But a lot of times I'll go upstairs and I'll jump on and I'll watch like Steve from Boston show. I always loved Steve from Boston. I always wanted to meet that guy because Steve only lives literally like not even an hour away from me. It's so ironic that I've reached out to him a couple times and he's never responded. But Steve's been doing it for a long time too, and he's made a big name for himself. He's got a great show, and I'll watch Tone King's stuff sometimes. He's got some awesome stuff. And I'll sit down and I'll watch some of these other guys' shows, and I just enjoy it. It's fun. It's fun to hear them talk about new gear and new equipment and look at the chat and see what people are saying. You got Ben Coombs jumping in and he's an awesome guy. Loved meeting him at NAMM a couple of years ago. And, it's just cool. It's interesting. It's hard to believe that we live in a generation now where this kind of stuff is, especially with the COVID thing, when COVID kicked in, oh my gosh, can you imagine if YouTube videos weren't around? I mean, gosh, I don't know what people would have done,
The problem is all the professionals that have been doing this stuff for, the last 3 or 4 years, they're complaining and bitching about all the rookies doing their own podcasts and their own shows because everyone's at home. But yeah, we have in the main TV in the living room, I can pull up YouTube and I watch that just as much as I watch regular TV. And I travel for work too. And I throw on, for about the last year when I was traveling to Seattle or Portland or Spokane, I would throw on the Johnny Bean show and just listen to it while I'm driving.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'll listen. I mean, Johnny has me on his show once in a while, here and there. I'll text Johnny, hey, let's do a show. He's all right, cool. I'll be on his show and it's so fun, and Nesdal's had me on him and Ty's show once. And it's just fun to do that. I love doing that stuff. But like you just said, I mean, I'll be in the car and I'll see something that Johnny or whoever has posted, and I'll just play it, you know, and it's just fun. It's cool. It's interesting to me to listen to. I just enjoy it. I enjoy doing the shows. I love talking about this stuff. In case you haven't noticed, I like to talk, but
Yeah.
yeah.
In this show, we've been on for almost 2 hours, and you've shown a couple guitars, but really it could be a podcast. Just because it's all been verbal content the whole time, you know. So
Music Therapy says, dude, just offer to take over a bunch of your guitars to play there my after he gets his shots. Steve's way cool. Huh?
I think Music Therapy Laz is working, and he might be using his voice to talk text in the chat.
Hey, Music Therapy. Have another one.
You sipping on old grandpa's cough medicine?
Music Therapy, you sniffing glue tonight or what? I'm giving you crap, dude. I'm just joking with you, man. He says,
what are you, high? So I know you have the dragon snake coming. I don't know if Hef's an original.
Oh, speaking of the dragon snake, yeah, I got something to show. Oh gosh, my legs just locked up. I've been sitting on my ass for the last hour and a half, and it's like I tried to get up and I almost fell over.
I'm sure someone was going to ask about the dragon snake, so we figured we'd give you a little bit, some people a
really asked about it. Hef's like the first one. Rob, what's up with the dragon snake? And I always feel bad because every time it's taken a long time, and you know, Jeff from RCA Guitars has sent me some pictures. I don't know if you guys saw what I posted a couple of weeks ago. Jeff sent me some pictures. The body's basically half done. The snake's head is done. The dragon's head is being worked on now. The back is all done. And yeah, I have stuff. I think I have some pictures posted. It's going to be awesome, guys. It's really going to be so cool. There's a guy, and you guys probably know this, or a lot of you guys know this, and I'm sure, Kurt, you know this, but the gentleman that guitar originally was an Explorer black body, and there's pictures of Eddie from 78 playing it, and he had that Dan Electro neck. He loved those Dano necks, the one that ended up on Star. I don't know how he did it, but because the actual dragon or the snake's head is actually turned, it's arced. So I don't know if he added wood or whatever. I'm sure he did, but whatever.
That's interesting.
Yeah. There's a gentleman by the name of John Sterry, and I don't even know if the guy's still around, but he was a furniture maker.
John Stamos?
Did we just become best friends?
Good housekeeping.
You want to go do karate in the basement? This whole time you've been watching my show, I just thought you were a total doucher. Fact is,
I've been walking around this house for the last 2.5 weeks thinking I had a doucher for a brother. So anyway, yeah, he was a furniture builder.
Yeah, and he carved out the snake dragon and painted and did all that stuff, and it was such a freaking cool guitar. And actually, it's a guitar that I never in a million years thought I'd be able to have. I always wanted one, but you know, thanks to people like Chris Locke and you know, and Jeff Rich and all those guys, you know. The funny thing is, on the back of Eddie's original, on the back of the body, it says John Sterry, and it's kind of like cursive type, squiggly, whatever you want to call it. Scripted, yes. So on the back of mine, when Jeff was getting ready to paint it, I said, you know what, dude? I want it to say, John, Jeff, they both begin with a J. I said, instead of saying John Sterry, I want mine to say Jeff Rich, and I want you to do it exactly the same. And he did. And he's done with it, and it came out great. He didn't even think of that. He was just like, damn, he's like, that's so freaking cool. And I wanted, normally all my replicas, I wanted exact to the real one. I don't want any differences. It's got to be perfect. But that, to me, was like, that's pretty unique. And I wanted him to get the credit for
respect. you're showing mad respect to the dude that's building it for you, which I think is super cool.
Yeah, so he did it, and it came out exactly like I wanted it to. So anyways, the dragon snake should be done pretty soon. I have the neck here. The headstock's painted black. I'm going for the 79 era. There's pictures that just came out with a rosewood neck with a funky kind of headstock on it that it had on there at one time. That's pretty freaking cool too. But I'm going for the 1980, well, say 79, but I'm going for there's a Guitar World cover of Eddie holding the snake dragon body from 1981. That's the version I'm going for with a black headstock. And because the body, it actually had a Charvel V-trem on it. All right. Yeah, that's it. That's the version I'm going for. Now, if you can show
this is the one with the Frankie stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, that was the original.
We'll just show everyone on the show who hasn't seen it.
Now, you guys see that bridge? That bridge is what's called a Charvel V-trem. It's got a long bar with a gold tip on it, and it's kind of like a standard Fender type bridge, but it's made by Charvel, and it's a chrome base, and it's got gold saddles on it. So I actually have a real one on my Megazone guitar, my Mighty Mite guitar. I actually have a real Charvel V-trem. And I probably would have put one on the Snake Dragon, but the actual body that Chris Locke routed was routed for a Floyd. He routed the two posts because he probably thought I was going to do the version of what the guitar is now, and it's got a black Floyd on it. Because at some point over the years after 79, probably in the mid 80s, whatever, Eddie had to put a black Floyd on it. And he never played the guitar ever again after, 79, 80, whatever it was. Ding. I got behind me. Oh, yeah. Oh, Chad says he's still got my 918V. That's awesome.
Better not get rid of it.
Right. So what I wanted to do that version with the gold Telly style plate with the black and the white knobs, with a maple neck with a black headstock, Strat headstock, and the Charvel V-trem. So what I decided I was going to do was I said, what can I do, since I got to put a Floyd on it, to make it look as close to a V-trem as I can? And this is what I did.
You're so good at this.
I bought a no fine tuner original Floyd Rose. This was all gold. Okay, it was all gold. And I found a basic Floyd Rose bar, and I took a hammer and I pounded it down so it's straight. And then I took my bench grinder to the tip and I filed it down. And I got on eBay and I ordered
just the tip.
Yeah, $8. I ordered a gold tip. Yeah, just the tip. On the back of the head is the most sensitive spot right here when they touch that. Just feels like magic. Anyways. Everything in my nose. Oh, God.
Oh, that's funny, man.
Oh,
that's amazing. That looks so cool. So the whole thing was gold. Did you paint it?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so that's what I did, and I jammed that on there. You got to file it down with the bench. Everybody's asking me, how do you do that? Because I did the same thing with my my VH1. Yep. It's a Floyd Rose. I got a white tip on it. How the hell did you do that? I'm like, I took my bench grinder and ground the tip of it down, and then you got to let it cool. Don't put the tip on when it's still hot because it'll freaking melt it. I've made that mistake.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
That's not when the tip's hot.
It melt your popsicle, right? And then what I did was I took the base off and I spray painted it with chrome. Where are we here? I spray painted it with chrome paint. Let it dry. Then I put the saddles back on. And basically what you got is you got a Floyd Rose that kind of resembles a Charvel V-trem.
You are a genius, sir.
I'm always tinkering, or sound like Eddie, but I'm always looking at ways to make stuff work for these guitars. Even if I was like, shit, I got to put a Floyd on. Okay, what can I do to make it look like that? So I'm always messing around doing stuff like that. Like the Floyd Rose posts that we have on our Floyd Roses. So like on my, I have a set of the real prototype ones that have the real thick top hat on them. But Hubs and I were looking one time to how the hell can we take these regular standard posts and make them look like they have a big top hat on. And basically, I took one of them out and I just took it to the bench grinder and I just grounded the head. And what it did was, since it's just on an arc, it just takes that arc and it goes like this and it straightens it out and it makes a wider head. And I'm like, holy shit, worked pretty well and it looked cool. Same thing with Schaller double tabs. I mean, I have double tabs on some of my guitars, but like on my Ibanez Destroyer, and I wanted 3 gold and 3 chrome. So I was trying to find gold double tabs is like trying to find a live dinosaur, So one night I was just thinking about it. So I had these 3 crappy tuners just kicking around. So I took a pair of pliers, snapped the tabs off, took them down to my bench grinder, rounded them off so the edges were even. And then I just, took it and put it on the top end of the back of the tuner, do a little pilot hole, butted it up against it, put a screw in, it looks like a freaking double tap. And I showed that to Nick. He's like, oh, shit. That's, I'm always looking at things to do like that. It's just, I enjoy that. So it's fun to me. If I can't buy it or I can't get it, I'm going to make it and I'm going to make it work, So anyways, this is going to go on the Snake Dragon and it's going to kind of resemble a V-Trem. And that guitar should be done pretty soon. And so should my Mini Les Paul custom being done by Donnie Ward. He's only doing one for me. He's not doing it anymore. I convinced him to do one for me, and he's doing the second one. And that should be done pretty soon too. So that's going to be a cool guitar. So once the Dragon Snake and the Mini Les Paul are in, I don't know what else I'm going to do after that. I don't know.
So I was going to ask you a technical question. If I wanted to throw these posts in, are those the exact same for a regular post on a Floyd, that thread?
I can't. I mean, it looks. I can't tell what. I can't tell. I mean,
it says they're Floyd Rose set mounting studs for, double locking tremolo. I'm just wondering, is that what you used in your 5150?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're all pretty much standard. The original prototype screws that have that big fat top hat on it, like I'm talking about, and I'm really geeking out now. Apparently, the diameter of the threads was a little thinner.
Okay.
We're talking back 80, 81, 80, early 82, around the whale tail days. It was the whale tail days. We're talking the FRT5 and the FRT4s and all that. I was lucky to get a real set from a good friend of mine on Facebook. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Matsui. Gosh, I can't pronounce his name. He's on Facebook. He sent me a set. It was his birthday the other day.
That's cool.
So what I did was because they were just a little smaller. Again, I'm always thinking about stuff. When I took the bridge off, took the posts out, and I took some Gorilla Glue, and I just little dab, Gorilla Glue. When it dries, it expands, and then I just put a tiny little, whatever the size is, drill bit, put a little pilot hole, and then just screwed them in. The next day, boom, that expanded. It's like turns like wood. Boom, they're solid as hell. And once you put that, even if they're not totally solid, as long as they get a bite, which they certainly did, when you have that bridge locked up against that, and it's got those 2 posts, and it's pushing forward on them, I'm exaggerating, and you got all the tension on, they're not going anywhere anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But the Gorilla Glue was the trick I did with that. As far as you're concerned, they're all, plug and play. All the stuff that you buy on eBay, all the posts, they're all standard. They will all fit. The only times you got to kind of make an alteration like that is if you end up getting those, $900 prototype studs, And lucky for me, he just sent them to me. He didn't even charge me. He's like, hey, I got an extra set, man. He's like, you got the most incredible looking 5150 I've ever seen. That's the last thing you need. Boom, here you go.
Oh, no. That's awesome.
And that was freaking awesome of him to do that. Yeah.
Because I'm never gonna get a whale tail.
Hef says just the tip. You're right, dude. It's the magic spot for sure. Hey, Janice.
I'll never get a whale tail. So I'm just trying to, like I got the brass fine tuners on mine, and I think if I put the flat screw posts on it, it'll just change it a little bit to make it look like a whale tail. Because I read an article, there was only, Rob, like 400 of those made, period.
Yeah. I didn't even think it was that much. I thought it was closer to the 250 range. Maybe you're right.
Maybe 250.
I mean, I have a Jim Francis version on mine, and it's awesome. It really is. It's amazing. And I actually would love to get a real whale tail. One of these days, hopefully I get one. Because I'd like to put one on my Neptune guitar. But what I have some little tricks that I do that I usually will do to a standard Floyd to make it whale tailish. First thing I'll do is I'll take the bar and I'll straighten it out a little, not quite this straight, but the whale tail bars were
the
not different. So I'll bend it, I'll put it in a vise or whatever, and just straighten it a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'll buy a brass block and I'll spray paint it silver to make it look steel, dirty it up a little bit. So now it looks like a steel block. I'll take the little blocks out of the saddles and because they're black, and I'll just take them just zing them on a bench grinder real quick, take the black finish off so they look silver, so they look like they're steel. Throw them back in. And I'll also take off the collars, the normal collars, and I'll go to this hardware store and just buy a basic friggin' whatever size nut it is and throw that nut on there instead, because that's what the whale tails had. And if I'm doing, and then that's about, and then I'll take all those springs and fingers crap off because those are useless anyways. I don't have any of that on any of my things, really. They're just tone robbers, really. But, and that's basically whale tailing out a standard Floyd. That's what I'll do. And like on my Kramer Ad Frankie that had a whale tail but didn't have the Floyd Rose logo, the only other thing I did is I took my bench grinder, just ground the logo off, and then just buffed it a little bit. And that's what I'll do, stuff like that to make it as close as possible. I mean, you're not going to have that long stem sticking out on the back, like a whale tail bar had. I mean, there was some dude that was asking like $250, and there was another one for like $180 on eBay. Guys were trying to sell a whale tail bar, and I was looking at it and I'm like, ugh, I am not spending $250 on a freaking whammy bar on a wheel stick.
You can buy a body for that much, blank body.
I'll spend $1,000 on a whale tail bridge. I'll put up $1,000, but I'm not spending a couple $100 just on the bar. No, not doing it. That's just.
Have you been to Tessie Switch's website lately?
I haven't. I have not. I haven't been to Rob's site. I'd like to jump on there though.
So he sells titanium saddle inserts, and they're like $26 for a set. And really? If you put in Johnny Bean's code, you get 15% off. So,
wow, I didn't. That's cool.
Yeah, I'll text you the code. But you can get a titanium saddle inserts for like $18 after the discount.
Wow, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would like to find someone that makes actual. I mean, I love all the brass block stuff, but I would like to find someone that actually makes steel big blocks, the big steel blocks, like what the whale tails had. Though, I mean, titanium big blocks are awesome, but that, I would just like. I mean, I'm telling you what, though. I mean. Jim Francis had it dialed in when he did those whale tail prototypes. I'm lucky I got one. But I'm telling you what, man, those big ass steel blocks, not brass, steel. There's just a magic sound that those create. It's I'm telling you, man, that 5150 of mine, that just rings. You hit a chord acoustically, done plugged in, and it's just like, whoa! It's just, how you pick up a guitar, whether in your shop or whatever. And you don't even plug it in. I never like to try a guitar out plugged in at first. I want to hear it acoustically, an electric guitar. And if you hit that chord or whatever, and it's just like it just rings, and you can feel that resonance.
The whole thing.
To me, that's like magic. And Eddie's guitars had that. I know some people, well, a couple of people that actually had an opportunity. When Dave Nesdahl got a chance to play Eddie's original Purple Standard, and another guy got to play Ed's Amber Music Man, and was like, "What's up with this guitar?" And Matt Bruck was like, "That's the one." And anyways, and then you pick a guitar up and you play, yeah, this is cool, but it doesn't have that, as David Lee Roth would say, it doesn't have that zing to it. It just it plays good, but it doesn't have that. You hit that chord, it just resonates, and you know what I mean. And that's, to me, that's an amazing guitar. And for some reason, I think a big steel block adds to that equation, so to speak.
So why isn't there more steel blocks, or why doesn't Adam make a steel block?
I don't know. I mean, you can get on Alien Nation and have to sell a kidney to buy one, but I mean, like,
I've seen them on there. I was wondering what the deal was.
Yeah, I mean, they're the real deal. It's just like, they're just asking insane prices. I mean, it's like, I can't imagine they even stay in business, really, but for the prices they have.
Well, you need to find someone that's a machinist and just give them a brass block, and those CNC machines, they can match exactly the size, the thickness, the threads, and they can build you one. But,
I mean, or just take a steel block off my 5150 and let them, get that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, a brass block would be just fine. Yeah, exactly. Here, take this, make it a steel one. Renee Hefner says, "Rob is a nerd. I love you." Yeah, I am. We're all nerds. Hey, R2, R3, what's going on? Frank.
That's funny.
Well, actually,
is that his wife? Renee Hef?
No, that's a different one. That's a different one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's on VH links, the Van Halen links. Yeah. We're on 2 hours and 15 minutes, so let's just do another 15 minutes if it's okay with you. Yep. But I just want to say one quick thing, real quick, and then I'm going to open it up to whatever questions these guys have, and we'll close out with that. Sure. Unless you have anything else for it. But I want to give Dweezil Zappa, Running with a Dweezil, another plug. His show, I purchased the podcast show that he's been doing a couple months ago, and he's got 9 episodes up now, and he's rolling all through the VH1 all the way up through Balance episodes, and I'm waiting for the 10th one to come out. He's up to 9. He just had Mark Tremonti on. Good show.
I think he's gonna do through Different Kind of Truth.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. I think he should. I'm excited for the 90s sound, because that's just my favorite. But I've been enjoying the hell out of all his shows. And actually, Dweezil and I have been talking back and forth a little bit on the messaging blog part of his page. And Dweezil was like, "Hey, I got to see a couple of your videos on YouTube. It's pretty cool." And I was like, "Hey, thanks, man." So, I thought that was pretty neat. I got a chance to, go back and forth with Dweezil a little bit. So I just want to give his show a plug. And I want to say, if you guys want to, it's a podcast. It's not a video, but I'm telling you guys, I mean, it's just so much fun listening to these guys, like, dive into the albums and pick apart the sounds and everything. I'm just like geeking out over this stuff. I'm loving it. I'm like, damn, that's so cool. I mean, they're geeking out over like the, stuff like the G power chord on the intro to Mean Street, just like, it's stuff like that just like tickles you just a little bit, like, whoa, because I mean, we relate to that stuff, but it's really neat. So you guys want to check that out. It's pretty cool stuff. Dweezil's doing an awesome job with that. And I look forward to every episode that he puts out, and I'm looking forward to the 10th.
And I would have to say, Dweezil, if you end up watching this episode later on down the road, or if you stumble across it, if you're ever looking for a platform to plug your podcast and check out Rob's collection, you can kill two birds with one stone. We would love to have you on and do an interview or do a podcast with you. I think it'd be cool because yeah, we love your stuff. Even the stuff he's doing on Sunset Sound.
Yeah,
I don't know if you watched that. That stuff's awesome too.
Yeah, it is awesome. I eat that stuff up. I lap it up like slop. I mean, it's just, I mean, you know, whatever. Like
he did. That slop comes later. It's the slop on your whammy bar.
Hopefully they take it. They don't make a mess and spill it all over the place. That's annoying. You know,
he did a show. I can't remember if he was on Premier Guitars or if it was on Gibson.com on YouTube, where they went down into his basement and they went through a bunch of his dad's guitars. Did you watch that one? Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, it was amazing. Some of the stuff his dad had back in the 70s was incredible. He was like Eddie, where he was tinkering with stuff, and you know, he put a Telecaster pickup in a Les Paul, just weird stuff like that, you know. But
I'm going to get back
to the chat.
Six String says, "Hey Rob, there's a website selling steel Floyd blocks for $39.99 called Feline Guitars. Hope that could help you or anyone in the chat." Wow, thanks, Six Strings. Yeah, I'm going to check that out. Feline Guitars, cool.
I wonder if that's John Gatto, the guy that made the cat guitar for Eddie.
Yeah, from the Good Cats, the Good Rats, the Good Rats. You know what they're talking about? The Good Rats. They're a Long Island-based guitar. Eddie's playing that cat guitar in Fair Warning, and Dave Nesdahl actually knows that dude. But yeah, he played for that band called the Good Rats. They're a Long Island-based band. It's another one of those rare guitars, you know. By the way, speaking of that real quick, get back to the Dweezil thing for a second. We'll open it up for questions for you guys. The next guitar I'm probably going to build is, or not build, but do, I'm going to get one of those Yamaha SF3000s, and I'm going to paint it blue and put the red electrical tape on it, like the 1980 Invasion Tour one. Hubs did one, and he gifted it to Scott Smith. Scott's got it. And that's one that I think, even though it's such a rare guitar, and Eddie probably only played it that maybe one time in San Antonio, Texas, 1980.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I mean, like I said, back in those days, Eddie didn't have a company he was with. He was doing the Boogie Bodies thing. He was playing the Frankie. He was playing all different kinds of guitars, and you had Yamaha, you had Fender, you had Charvel, you had probably Gibson. You had everybody, you know, throwing themselves at Eddie because he was the you know, flavor of the day, trying to get him to, you know, to endorse him. And you know, ironic, a couple years later, a year and a half later, Eddie goes with Kramer. But that's probably one that I'm going to do. But anyways, Six String says feline guitars, which is interesting because back to the Dweezil thing. Speaking of the felines, you know, destroying our USA, you know, and causing us to Relic come out and whatever, like 2015 tour relics. I think I told you this, Kurt, but the Rasta guitar that Dweezil owns, the actual vomit on the back, it's actually cat puke. And a lot of people, I've said this before, people don't realize this. There's some hidden gems out there that we are going to dive into. And I'm only
this is how deep we go.
Oh yeah. And here's another one for you real quick. The Circles guitar, the Unchained guitar, the Bye See You Later, that was not black. That was deep midnight blue. And people don't want to admit that, but it was. It was deep midnight blue. EVH got it wrong. There's pictures out there. I have a couple of them that show it. But anyways, another one was Dweezil. I don't even think remembers this, but he said years and years and years and years ago, the vomit that's dripping down the back of that Rasta guitar was actually cat vomit because Valerie had a bunch of cats, and they would sit all over the place and crawl in Eddie's guitar cases. Michael Gutierrez, Johnny's good friend that got the Stripe Kramer from Ed back in NAMM in '85. he says he took the guitar out of the case and had freaking cat hair all on it because Val's cats were sleeping all over the place. So one of the cats vomited on the guitar. That's cat vomit. So, and I know that because I actually went downstairs to my guitar room one morning on a day off months and months ago. And here's Joe. Come here. Come here. You're famous. Come here. I want to show you. This is the cat that created. This is Jelly Bean. She created my, not Johnny Bean, Jelly Bean, but she created my USA Tour Relic, and she added to my roster replica. So, I went downstairs one morning and my pedal board. I'm like, what the hell is that? The cat friggin' yacked all in the middle of the board. It's all down below. It's like, I'm like, fuck! You know, I'm just like, you can imagine building up, looking at it like, you know, like whatever. And I'm like, lucky it was a day off. So I went upstairs and had to pull the towels out. And, you know, it was all dried and shit. It was annoying as hell. I'm like, come on. So I cleaned it all up, whatever. So now I put a towel over the pedal board, you know. But anyways, it was friggin' cat puke. So I came home from work about 2 months, a month and a half ago, whatever it was, because I upgraded my Rasta. And the last thing I needed to do to it, well, I still got to put a gold Schaller Floyd on it. It's still got an original, but I'm not too concerned about that. I like the originals better. Come home and there's a big pile of cat puke on the floor. I'm like, yes, the first time I ever celebrated cat puke. Yes, yes. So I grabbed the paper towel, picked it up, ran downstairs, and I grabbed that guitar and I'm just like mashed it all on the top horn down the back. And yeah, it's a little bit too much. I had to wipe some of it off, and yeah, so now it's all dried, and yeah, so now it's legit. And you know who reminded me of that? Dimitri Douglas, Jimmy. He's the one that reminded me, Rob, that's cat puke, not human.
Oh so if Johnny Bean had to do that with his, you know, Ned, he eats like rats and moles and stuff. So that puke probably wouldn't be the puke you'd want to put on your guitar, which your cat probably eats, you know, gourmet cat food from a can.
Well, see, Johnny Bean like likes to take his replicas and he like mixes it up. Like he's got like, you know, cream pickups in the 1984 guitar, and you know he kind of mixes stuff up, which I think is really cool. He also, you know, bangs the heads of the guitars down on the ground and breaks them. Yeah. You know, like Eddie used to do live. I think Johnny should take some of Ned's cat puke the next time Ned vomits and put it on his Music Man.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
I think that would be a great addition.
So Rob, I looked up the feline guitars. They do have steel blocks for $39, but that's European. It's European. So just like that book we bought a couple weeks ago. So $39 European to American. So it's probably $60.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. Definitely have to check
that book. After you convert the European dollars to American dollars, it's pretty damn expensive.
Yeah, there's a new book that's coming out that we all pre-ordered. A couple of us did. What's that? I'm gonna
pull it up here.
Yeah, I think Kurt was like, "Hey, did you pre-order that book yet?" I'm like, "No, I should do it." And I got on the website, and then by the time I'm done, it's like $200 or $180. I'm like, man, I hope the book comes with like a free bowl of soup or a hat or something, you know? Yeah.
An hand job.
I was gonna say,
mailman.
I was gonna say, I hope the book comes with a free blowjob, but I was trying to be nice. But you know, it's like, geez, $200 for a book. Damn.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions while we last 5 minutes?
Randy says, "Why?" Go ahead.
I saw Brad Cook. He was on, and he says new guitar day for him coming soon. So he must
cool.
ordered a new guitar. My co-host Brad Cook from the 5150 show. He's a cool dude.
Johnny says he saw the cat hair when he played that Kramer, Michael Gutierrez's guitar. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. That's neat. That's pretty neat. I'm sure he did see Val's cat hair. Fruitcake Tony says, Robin Kurt, today is also my oldest son's birthday, 3/16. Awesome. Happy birthday to your son, man. That's awesome. How old is he? Janice Lala says she saw the Good Rats. That's pretty neat. Janice, was he playing the cat guitar?
Huh.
Johnny says there's photos that show Edward played the Yamaha at least twice. Yes, actually, because we know that because he was wearing different clothes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Now that I think about it, I got to find those pictures.
I saw a magazine cover or a brochure from that San Antonio show.
San Antonio show, yeah.
On the cover, he was playing that.
Yeah, I want to. That's definitely a guitar I want to do. That's just a cool one. It's different, and I'm at the point now where my collection where I don't need any more striped Kramers. I don't need. I'm not really. I mean, there's a couple maybe I would do sometime, but now I'm kind of going to dive into those weird ones. I mean, I'm not so sure I want the Good Rats guitar, the cat guitar. I mean, that's not really into that, but there's a couple of them that I would like. That Yamaha SF3000 is one of them.
I want to do the white Les Paul that he bought in the '78 tour.
Yeah,
you know what
that one is. You know what? If you want to be economical, you know what your best bet is? Buy a Gibson, buy one of the Chinese ones because I have one. They're freaking great guitars, man. I'm telling you, for $300, they sound and play great. And if you switch out the hardware on them, I mean, it's great. Unless you're a millionaire, like some people, you can afford the real deal. But buy yourself a Gibson. You can probably get them in white. And even if you can't, get one and then paint it and have someone like Hubbard do it. They can put a factory paint job on it, basically, and boom, there you go.
Yeah. Well, this. The headstock's not correct to a Gibson, but dude, this guitar is a freaking screamer.
What does that say? What did that say in the headstock? Hairy body?
Harley Benton.
Oh, I thought it said hairy body. I was like, what? Oh, Harley Benton. Does that include back hair?
Where's your mind? But dude, this guitar is a screamer, and I've upgraded, pickups. I put EVH speed knobs on it, or low friction pots on it. But I like that white Epiphone, maybe. What's that?
My last girlfriend was a screamer too. Allison's watching. That was a joke. He set me up for it. Anyways, no, that's cool. That's awesome.
Or I could do an Epiphone and paint it. I'm not sure.
Your best bet is a Gibson, man. I'm telling you, they're just great guitars. They really are. I'll show mine again.
Those things they're getting seized at the border, aren't they?
Yeah, probably. Somebody, whenever a good thing starts happening, somebody just has to freaking ruin it. It always happens. But I got a Les Paul Chinese version, and I got a Telecaster one. And I'm telling you, they're both great freaking guitars. They play great. They sound good. I switched the pickups up out on my Telecaster, and it sounds a little bit better. But
right.
I mean, they're great guitars. I mean, really. Yeah, but I think that would be a fun one to do. Yeah, the white Les Paul.
Yeah.
What I'd love to do too would be I know Donnie Ward, our good buddy Donnie, did a Ibanez Destroyer for Dave Nesdahl, and I've yet to see that guitar, but I can't wait. The next trip I make down to see Dave, I'm dying to play that guitar. But I'd love to do like what Alan Gerbergarber has, the white Destroyer. That's freaking cool.
That thing's badass. He's like one of the only guys I know that has that white white Ibanez.
Yep. Randy says, why did Ed paint the Circles guitar to the Rasta, Rob? I don't know. I mean, you know, Eddie was always just mixing it up. There was really never any rhyme or reason for why he did any of the stuff that he did with the paint stuff. I mean, he had the, you know, the red, white, and black scheme, but at the same time, he never really, he was, back in those days, he was always taking, you know, 180-degree turns and just, you know, just switching stuff up. Probably just one day was just like, hey, you know, let's mix it up a little bit. Like I said, I love both versions of that guitar. I love the Circles version, and I love the Rasta. I also like the Rude guitar. That's a great guitar. You know?
R2, R3 locking nut. We talked about the Eventide micro pitch actually early on in the show.
Like 8 hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go back and watch it, R2, R3, you'll see we talked about that an hour or so ago, hour and a half ago. We hit on that pretty good. Rob, what was your favorite Van Halen tone before Wet, Dry, Wet? You know, I probably am going to say the Fair Warning era. That was just raw, raunchy. I mean, I love the 5150 OU812 sound too. But that was, the funny thing of it is, if you look at Ed's guitar tone, I'm not talking about like VH1 with the you know, guitar on one side and the reverb. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the overall tone. I know there's so many people out there that so much appreciate Ed's guitar tone, Van Halen 1 and 2, and those are both very different. I mean, Dave Friedman says in one of his videos with Mark, he says his favorite is the Van Halen 2 tone, and I love that. His tone was always changing a little bit, you know. And we can go through that's actually a show we should just do on its own, is Van Halen.
There you go. That would be fun.
Yeah, we should definitely, that'd be a fun show. You and I should do that sometime. Maybe we'll do that.
You know what's cool, Rob? If we do that, a lot of the settings are in some of these books, the amp settings.
Yeah. That's another great book, by the way. I love that book. Kurt, let's actually talk about that. Let's put together a time we can do a show on. We'll do kind of like a Dweezil type thing, but we'll put it all into one show. We'll just briefly touch on the sounds of each album. But
yeah, I'm doing a timeline.
I personally like the I mean, I guess you could say it's Ed's attack, his picking attack in Fair Warning. It was mean. It was angry. I mean, it was a very dark album. We know that. But when you listen to Unchained and you listen to Mean Street, I mean, those are the Fair Warning anthems, as we know. But if you really break it down, I mean, you can get into So This Is Love too, you know, and that's really cool. He cleans it up a little bit there. But if you really dig into that album and you listen to like One Foot Out the Door, the outro solo, like how aggressive it is, and he's just kind of flying all over the fretboard. That sound to me in Fair Warning that would probably be my second favorite. So on my THR 10X, my Yamaha amp, that freaking thing is amazing. That's the best little practice amp I've ever heard in my life. I play on that thing. Oh yeah, it's sick. It's insane. It's stupid. It's super good sounding. And thanks to Craig Stoffko, CHS Guitars. Yeah, there we are. Thanks to CHS Guitars, he stealthed mine out. He did the same thing I did. He got EVH on there. Yeah.
I still have it from you.
You guys have seen mine. I can't. It's right over there, but it take me forever to get it. It's all stealthed out and whatever. But my settings on that, I have 5 settings, and they're all settings that you get online. Number 1 is my balance sound. That's that huge, big, majestic, harmonized, detuned sound. Channel 2 is like a flangey kind of hear about it later sound. Channel 3 is my cathedral sound. Channel 4 is my clean sound. I call it the feeling sound. Like if you're gonna, the intro to feeling on balances, anything that's clean with a real, equity. Yeah. And my 5 channel is actually a fair warning. I'd call it a women and children first fair warning sound. They're both a little bit different. Women and children first had a much more reverby piece to it. And fair warning really started diving into that. You could hear harmonizer in that, especially on that G chord at, I'll show you this here. Check this out.
So we just did the fair warning on the 5150 show a couple weeks ago, and that was the first time that Eddie introduced the wet, dry, wet, and the eventide harmonizer. And he got that sound from Steve Lukather. Yeah. And Ted Templeton didn't want him to use it on the album. He didn't like it. He wanted the, raw sound that they were getting on the first 3 albums. And so you could barely hear the start of that, people call it a chorus sound, but that wet, dry, wet, and the eventide.
I'm going to do this real quick because I'm probably not supposed to do this, but whatever. Listen to the G chord.
You never get flagged.
Listen to the G chord. You can hear that harmonizer. This is my favorite, second favorite. And you can hear it ring out on that G chord when you hit it. Right here.
Yep.
Hear that? Just, and you can just hear that harmonizer in there. It's just, whoa, that's sick. And that's when Eddie really started diving into that, That's
for me. For me, balance is obviously my first.
Sorry.
Thanks, Janice. My balance is my number 1 sound too. A lot has to do with, just like Rob, that was my first show I saw live. But my second favorite sound is Diver Down.
Dayton Nesgoss says the same thing. Yep. It's funny you said that. I was just listening to Diver Down this morning, Hang 'em High, and that's the thing. It's so hard to pick this stuff. It really is, because they're all so freaking amazing. They really are.
Well, what Eddie used to say is, if my sound was the same as, if on Diver Down, if the guitar sound was the same as Fair Warning, you would be like, well, why are you playing the same sound that you had on Fair Warning? So he evolved every album. I think he purposely switched it up. He wanted to make it different. How he always talks about all those, each album's like one of his kids. He didn't want it to be the same. Yeah, there's Barney. I mean, it's crazy. You go to Van Halen 3 and it sounds just completely different than any album.
I would say, exactly. So this is my THR 10X. I know I'm showing this to the video, but this is probably my favorite. This is probably my favorite sound to play. Whenever I sit down and I play, this is typically what I'll do.
It's incredible, man.
So that's going to be my favorite sound. If I had to, when I sit down and I play, it's funny. Here's the funny thing. If I sit down, I got a Kramer guitar. I don't play the wet, dry, wet. Well, I'll play wet, dry. If I'm down on my big rig, I do. That's how it's set up. But if I'm playing through my THR 10X, I'm clicking on like a VH1, 5150-ish OU2 sound. If I got a Music Man or a Wolfgang, boom, I'm in the balance mode. It just feels weird to play like a Music Man or a Wolfgang on a
You
VH.
really got me.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I was playing my Bumblebee that I just redid my Bumblebee. It came out amazing. I'm so happy with it. It's like I said, I was playing it this yesterday morning. I'm like, okay, I gotta have that VH2 sound. So it's so weird. I don't know. It's so hard to pick a favorite sound. I mean, for me, definitely the wet, dry, wet, the balance sound. That's it. That's my go-to. But when you're talking about, what's your favorite? What's this? Like, obviously, the 5150 guitar is my absolute favorite Van Halen guitar ever. That's the one that just, live without a net, man. Here's that candy cane looking guitar. That's freaking cool. I love it even more than a Frankenstrat. But what's your favorite guitar to play? It depends. I mean, it's so hard to say what's better, Music Man, PV, EVH. If you force me into a corner and you put a friggin' hot iron to my head, I'm gonna say probably Music Man, just because I love the necks and I love the style and the look and I love that DiMarzio sound.
Thanks, Fruitcake. He's got to run.
He's got to run. Bye, Fruitcake. Bye, Fruitcake. But yeah, it's so hard, to answer those questions. It's like, but I go through phases. I'm sure you do too.
Oh,
I want to play the Kramers today, or I want to play the Music Mans, or it's just so hard to come up with that. I don't know.
Yeah, and you said earlier that you like the EVH neck better than the
7. By the way, we'll just finish at 7. We'll do 3 hours.
Okay, that's fine. You said you like the EVH neck better than the PV Wolfgang. Were you referring to the shape or were you referring to the finish?
I don't necessarily like the EVH necks better than the PVs. I think earlier I was talking about the ebony and the maple. But
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but as far as the actual PV necks, it's funny. Johnny Bean has him and I so much agree on this, and Johnny's a better guitarist than I am, of course. But we both have this same kind of a feeling, and Johnny sums it up perfectly. And basically, what Johnny always says is he doesn't have any PV Wolfgangs anymore. He used to have an awesome Sunburst one. I wish I could have got that one from him before he got rid of it. But
yeah, Michael Smith has it.
Oh, Michael has it? Okay, yeah. The PV standards, not necessarily the specials, because here's the funny part. I have the green deluxe special USA with a Fernandez sustainer, with a 5150 on it. And I also have that's got a USA neck on it. Never mind. But I have a couple of PV standards. The standard PV necks are fatter. I say it like it's more like a baseball bat. It's just a thicker neck. It's almost like a VH1 neck on the VH1 guitar. It's wider. You go to the EVHs and back up to the Music Mans. Eddie made a change. The Music Mans were like his Kramer 5150. It was a very slim profile. And he goes to the PVs, and they're very fat, not thick, but fatter, wider neck. And then he went back to kind of a slimmer neck, so to speak, with the EVHs. I don't necessarily like either one better, but as Johnny always says, it's hard to be playing a PV and then switch to an EVH in the same playing session, or vice versa, because they are so much different. If I wake up in the morning and I start playing guitar, it doesn't matter if I pick a PV Wolfgang, a standard, with a fatter neck, or the wider neck, I should say, or an EVH. It doesn't matter. I'll pick one up and I'll get used to it. Give me 5 minutes and then, it's starting to feel like home again. Yeah. But getting used to that thicker neck or that wider neck is just a little bit different, but it's so hard to say what do you like better. I don't know, because I change. What about you? What do you like? What do you like?
I mean, I have an Axis. That neck, man, is That's probably my favorite. I don't know how close it is to the EX or to the Signature, but it's dang close and it feels good. But
Here's
my Kramer,
the 12th fret down, 12th fret down to the first is exactly the same as the EVH. The 12th fret up, it widens a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
The 12th down, you're playing an EVH, Eddie Van Halen, Music Man. From the 12th fret up, that's when Axis changed the
radius.
The radius was just a little bit thicker, wider, whatever you want to call it, a little bigger. Yeah. And I know that for a fact. I had a long, drawn-out conversation from a gentleman that worked at Music Man for many, many years, about 4 years ago, because I was picking his brain on, I want to know about the Axis EX. I want to know about the Axis USA. I want to know about the EVH. What's the differences? And there's another show we could do.
Right.
Just talk about the EXs, because so much information out there on those guitars that people don't know about. But
have you done any of the finishes? What's that?
No. I know what you mean. That Axis neck is amazing. Yeah. From the 12th fret down, you're playing EVH. From the 12th fret up, it's the same thing. But I mean, I can't feel the difference. But certain people that have that, you know, I mean, you might be able to feel the difference a little bit wider.
Yeah, for me, it's not like I'm playing for hours at a time. So just noodling around, I can pretty much pick up anything. Now you put like an Ibanez in my hand, you know, the real thin necks. Yeah. Those are hard for me to play. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool. And I think Eddie, same thing. He evolved. He changed his what he liked. You know, he really. That's one thing cool about him is. Like Slash from Guns N' Roses, he's stuck to the same thing for the last 30 years. But Eddie has totally just changed it up, which may be that's why it's so fun to follow him, you know, because he's always changed it up.
You know what I find most? I think I was on one of Johnny's shows a month or so back, and we were kind of chatting about this. And by the way, Johnny says the Axis neck is fatter than the EVH. Exactly, it is. But it's mostly from the 12th fret up. From the 12th fret down, it's pretty much the same. Or it's much closer. But the radius is different from the 12th fret up. Johnny and I were talking about this. It's so funny because you look at Eddie Van Halen, you look at his guitars, you look at his sound, his playing, his persona. I mean, you look at his hairdo, you know, he was blonde with short hair and ballad. I mean, you can geek out over all this stuff. But
yeah,
for
his
me,
clothes.
His
the clothes he's wearing, you know. He was
I gotta get
changing
some striped overalls. I gotta get some US Festival overalls. You know, I always enjoy all that stuff, but for me, it's always been the guitars mostly. You know, it's just been so much fun, and then the sound, the guitar sounds, and all that, and then it tinkers down from there, trickles, whatever. But for me, you know, everybody, you know. When Eddie passed, it was devastating to us fans. I mean, we were all hoping for. I mean, I could have told you 10 years ago, and I've been saying it for more than 10 years ago. One day there's going to be Van Halen with Roth and Sam, and I even said Gary's going to come in and sing "Fire in the Hole" because that's the only one that I liked off the album. But anyways, that's not true. I like all the songs, but. There's not a Van Halen song that I don't like without you. Oh, wait a minute. How many say I? I'm kidding. Anyways, there's no such thing as a Van Halen song that I don't like. I like them all. They all have a special place in my heart. But what I'm saying is I've always said that was going to happen. And when Wolfgang made that, even the naysayers, oh, it'll never happen, never happen. It's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's just inevitable. It's evolute. It's going to evolute to that at some point. It can't not do it.
You talked about it on one of your shows on your channel. Yeah. At the end of one of your shows.
Years ago. And it's so interesting that it was going to happen. But you know, obviously we lost an incredible person and you know, an amazing human being. And now we got Wolfgang, and he's doing his own thing. And I can't wait to hear what he's doing. I mean, what we've heard already is insane. It's incredible. Happy birthday, Wolfgang. Happy 30.
That's right.
But what I find so interesting is and I knew this was going to happen, and it's happening, and it's going to continue to happen. Since Eddie has passed, it has not been a dull time to be a Van Halen fan.
Right.
There's stuff coming out from, you know, the Irvine Pro Shot show to the Dweezil stuff to hidden interviews to new music we're hearing to new guitar. I mean, I'm telling you, this stuff, I keep telling people this stuff is going to just continue to snowball. Eddie Van Halen is going to get bigger, not smaller. He's not going anywhere. We're not going to get to see Van Halen on stage live anymore, but there's going to be so much cool stuff coming out. You know, that's what I'm enjoying the heck out of this time right now, because, you know, it's like, you know, the classic saying, when one door closes, another one opens. You know, I just hang on, guys, because all you guys that are in our boat in loving this stuff, it's not going anywhere. It's going to continue. And there's so much live stuff out there, pro shot stuff that people have been hoarding all these years. I mean, Johnny knows we've been, you know, bootleg collectors all these years. It's going to continue to come out. So it's, you know, just relax and enjoy, because, you know, play your guitar, because it's going to continue to happen, you know.
Van Halen was a tight camp, and I don't know how they did it, but if you were involved with anything, whether it be business, an interview that didn't ever get published, or you took photos that never got published, or you recorded audio or video for whatever, if it was never published, I don't know if they intimidated people or if they just had an agreement that said, hey, don't leak this, otherwise I'll never let you come back and do another interview again, because people did leak stuff. They really kept it tight. And now that Ed's passed, I think slowly, like you said, some of that stuff's going to leak. If you look at the Van Halen encyclopedia and go to the touring section, and it shows all the shows, and it talks about what shows where they recorded audio for or video. Rob, there's a couple hundred shows that we could eventually see or hear in the future.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of the main.
Fire. You know?
I want to see the Denver, Colorado '95 snowstorm video.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see the snowball fights where they're freaking Eddie's wearing the gloves and the hat. You know, I want to see that. We got some tones out there. Oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to let you answer this one, Kurt. Tristan says, what was a better tone, Fair Warning or Van Halen 1? Use your
I'll
ice
answer
cream.
that. I'll answer it. So I think Van Halen 1 is my second favorite album out of the whole library, 5150 being number one. But Eddie never really liked the tone on that album. I don't think he was happy with the tone on that album. And he didn't like the fact that it was panned to one side. And like, he didn't even realize it till he was in like Europe, and he was driving in a car that had one speaker. And he called either Ted or Don Landy and said, hey, I was listening to such song was on the radio and I couldn't hear my guitar. But Eddie wanted to include or integrate that wet, dry, wet mix and that process sound early on. So I would kind of lean towards more Fair Warning, because I think that's the tone that Eddie wanted, versus the Van Halen 1. That's a classic sound, and those songs, you can't beat them. They're amazing. But I would prefer the Fair Warning over VH1.
I thought you were going to do the strawberry and vanilla ice cream.
I don't want to steal your thunder.
No. I'm not even going to say it because you answered it perfectly. And I totally agree. Totally agree with Kurt. And the only thing I'll add to that is we're all different. You know, we all love different sounds, and you know, and that's the beauty of Van Halen. I mean, or any kind of music or anything really. I mean, that we have a passion for. I mean, we're all a little bit different. You can ask anybody, hey, what should I do? What should I do here? What should I buy? What should I do? You know, it's up to you. I mean, it's your decision. I mean, what do you like? But at the same time, that's the beauty of it, because the fact that we're asking each other, what do you think? What do you think? Means that we're intrigued by all of it. Mm-hmm. It's all intriguing. And the fact that it makes it a hard decision to decide means it's all freaking cool. So that's the beauty of it. And, you know, yeah, I think Kurt just answered it perfectly, you know.
And funny thing is, I have probably 2 out of my 5 settings on my THR-10X are VH1 sounds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the funny thing is you only get 5 settings on that thing.
I know.
So presets. So, you know, It's like, gosh, you know, it's like I had a Rat setting, one that I liked. I had a Dream Theater one that I liked. Of course, Van Halen. I'm not much of a grunge person, but I tried a grunge sound at one point. But I kind of always veer back to the Van Halen stuff, you know. It's cool. Kale says, the lady at the counter said the VH1 sales have been crazy since the news, and me and my mom were puzzled. Said the news she didn't. One of them died yesterday of throat cancer. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Actually, back to the sound. We were talking about the sounds that we disliked the most from Van Halen. There's not a Van Halen album that I can say, ugh, that sounds like shit, you know. But I guess because of that, I'm going to kind of veer towards the live sound. So Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2. If you go on YouTube now, oh my gosh, the 79 era soundboard shows are freaking. They got San Diego, they got Tucson, Arizona. They just came out with Palm Beach, Florida. All 79 era soundboards. I just recorded them all on my iPod, iPod. Yeah, what's an iPod? Nobody knows what those are anymore. They're on my iTunes library for my iPhone.
I got it.
You know, so there's all these soundboard sounds coming out. I guess, you know, all those years coming up, I loved. I would say live, there's 2 years that I just really disliked his live sound. Live sound. I'm not talking about playing. I'm not talking about, well, I guess I'll say 3, but I'm going to kind of go to 2. 1998, I did not like his live sound. It was just I didn't like it.
It was dry.
Too dry. It was just too drastically different from Balance. Eddie wanted to go back to the basics. He wanted to go back no cordless. He wanted to go back to the cords, you know, the cables and, you know, whatever.
Yeah, he had a phaser, a flanger, and a Dunlop wah pedal, and that was it. And
yeah,
then
and
like
if you look at the right, and if you look at the Guitar Man books, they show he's got 2 Eventide harmonizer units in there, two units, and gosh, he wasn't using them. I mean, Hubbard
maybe in the solo. Maybe in the solo.
I mean, if he was using them, he certainly wasn't using them anything like what he was doing in Balance or for Unlawful.
Right.
So again, Eddie's attack and his playing style and his technique and his precision, VH3 98, right on the freaking money. Amazing. He freaking nailed all those old songs. Mean Street, Feel Your Love Tonight, Somebody Get Me a Doctor,
Romeo Delight.
Yeah.
Romeo Delight.
All those songs Gary was singing. Romeo Delight, right. All those songs, boom, is amazing. And I saw him live 3 times in 98. Yeah. Amazing tour. And I'll say Gary, you know, like him or not, I give that guy all the credit in the world. He did a freaking awesome job and he kicked ass in that tour. But Eddie's guitar sound.
Why Can't This Be Love? They did at the show I went to. That was cool. Did they do that at your show?
Yep, they did. I saw him in Boston. I saw him in Mansfield, Massachusetts, and also Hartford, Connecticut. The only thing I liked out of the VH tour sound was the keyboard, and When It's Love, when it started, it was just big sounding. It sounded big. Like if you listen to a bootleg of When It's Love, 98, it sounded a little bit different, but I wasn't a big fan of that. His sound in 2004 obviously was, well, there's some other issues in 2004, but not a big fan of that sound. But honestly, 2007, 2008 tour, it was just too raw, like raunchy sounding. Just, So I'm going to say this, between 1998 and when Dave came back in 2007, that tour, the 2007, 2008, awesome tours. I love the tours, and I love watching the bootlegs, and I listen to the stuff all the time. Even the 2004 stuff, I love listening to those shows. I just enjoy it. It's fun. It's a different phase of Eddie, like it or not. But guitar sound-wise, that's all I'm talking about, guitar sound-wise, live playing, didn't like the sound. 2012, boom, there's like a, whoa, this is different. This sounds cool. Of course, Different Kind of Truth came out. It was, that 51, 53 was just dirty and, real.
That growl.
Yep. And then 2015, if you took that sound in 2015 live and you added some balance stuff to it, Eddie would have been right back there. He would have been back in 1995 in the balance tour. And I'm not just talking about the haircut. I'm talking about, I was like, whoa, he's getting closer. And Hubbard and I have had so many different conversations about this. Like, 2015 was the closest thing he came to balance ever since then. If he just could have added that, and the guitar world says he was going wet, dry, wet. I didn't quite hear it. It didn't sound like balance. It didn't sound like Fern Lawful. Hey, what's up, Brad?
I agree with you 100%.
You gonna sell me that guitar or what? I'm waiting. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. But,
what's he have?
He's got a PV Wolfgang Trans-Trem guitar that I'm trying to take off his hand. But I told him to take his time, so he's thinking about it.
Cool.
Hey,
Well,
what were you saying?
it's 7:00. It's 7:00 where you're at, or after 7. Should we call it a night?
Yeah, we probably. He says maybe. Yeah. I'm just giving you crap, dude. I'm just joking with you. Glad you could jump in. Johnny Bean, real quick, says he went back to the raw tone on VH3 because they were playing the older songs. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a good point because Eddie was much more raw back in those days. But he also went back to playing cordless. He wasn't playing with the wireless anymore, which was ironic because all he did was trip over the damn cord every 5 minutes. He's always grabbing the cord, trying to twirl it around because he was getting caught up on the microphones and all that. But it seemed like
it was
more
funny how
small
his setup was with those 3 4x12 cabinets. I mean, it looked like a baby's toy sitting up even next to Al's drum kit.
I know.
If you compare that to the 15 tour where he was back to the huge stacks, it's just crazy that I don't know, man. He always kept everyone on their toes. You never knew what Eddie was going to bring,
And that's the best part of all of it. Whether you like this particular song or a particular sound or what's your favorite or whatever, it was all stuff that we all had an appreciation for and we all just wanted to jump into, and we all had an opinion on it and still do. It's just fun, and that's the biggest thing. So I mean that's what I love. I love all the guitars he's played since day one. I love all the sounds he's had since day one. And I love talking to all you guys about it. I mean, it's just so much fun. Johnny says, keep going another hour, then rate my show. Honestly,
for me, I saw every tour from Balance on and 95 on, and I was 16, Rob, I think, when 16, 17 when I saw the 95 Balance Tour. I wish I would have went to some shows when I was younger. I wish I would have saw the Live Right Here, Right Now, or For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. I wish I would have I wasn't too young, but I just wasn't thinking about buying a ticket and going to a show just because, like, I would have had to have my mom drop me off or whatever, you know. But I wish I would have went to one of those shows, you know.
I had a chance to go to a 1984 show with my friend's parents, and in 1984 I was 11 years old, and I mean I'd heard of Van Halen. I wasn't a big Van Halen fan. I mean I liked their music, but for whatever reason I can't remember what it was. He was like, "Hey, you want to come to the Worcester Centrum?" You know, and see Van Halen. My mom and dad and I are going. And for whatever reason, my friend ended up not going and his parents went. So I didn't go. I Ticketmaster thing, but I could have seen them in 1984. That would have been cool as hell. But yeah, so like me, you know, you and me are the same. 95 was my first, you know, exposure to them live. And to me, that was like, boom, and maybe that's why I love the Balance, you know, sound the most. Yeah,
I've held on to this thing for. What's that?
Go ahead.
You keeping your ticket stubs?
Yeah, I got them. Yeah, I got them all in a book. Yeah. I got all my ticket stubs. So let me ask you this last question, then we're going to say goodbye. Johnny Bean says, "Right Here, Right Now" is the best tour. Yeah. I wish I could have seen that. Oh, I wish I could have seen that. I would have freaking my head would have exploded when I saw him play Unchained. Like, holy crap, Sammy Hagar is singing Unchained. But I will say, seeing him in 2012, there was 2 times in the 2012 tour they played Hang 'em High.
Oh, really?
In Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I was at the Washington show.
Yep, they played Hang 'em High 2 times in that tour. And Connor, my son, Connor Johnson, the other Connor Johnson.
The real Connor Johnson. Connor Johnson.
He was 12 years old at the time. And we went to the TD Bank North Center in Boston for the 2012 tour. And I remember, boom, Eddie rips into Hang 'em High. I'm like, holy shit, they're playing freaking Hang 'em High. I couldn't freaking believe it because I've always loved that, you know, that song.
Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah.
Here's my ticket.
Yeah.
2012.
So my last question to you is, if you could pick, obviously before 1995, from VH1 to 95, in between, one tour you could have seen them live in, which one would it be? And my answer, when I answer after you, is going to probably blow your mind. But go ahead. You answer.
This isn't fair.
I know. You have to pick. You've got to pick. You've got to make a decision.
5150.
One concert. You don't get 2 or whatever. Just one. You got to pick
5150. Just because they were so tight and they were so like loving each other.
Yeah.
The only problem is they only played the songs on the 5150 album, and then Jump and one of Sammy's songs, maybe, right? That first year. So they didn't play a whole lot of.
They played One Way to Rock, and they played Can't Drive 55. And for the classic Van Halen songs, they played Panama, Ain't Talking About Love, You Really Got Me, and occasionally Jump.
I would have to say the 5150 tour, just because dude, they were like kissing each other on stage, and
they were tight. They were tight.
Yeah, they were tight. You know, Sammy was getting BJs underneath the stage, and so he was probably coming out light on his feet after the break.
Every tour, but
yeah. And Eddie, you know, he played the Steinberger guitar twice or 2 years. That was it. Those 2 tours. OU 812 and 5150. I would say 5150 probably.
Yeah. So, and not to disrespect the Rothiers, because would I have loved to see them on that 1984 show in the Worcester Centrum? Absolutely. To see the, just the explosion with the biggest tour set list ever.
Yeah, the most lights.
Yeah, and then rip into Unchained, and raw through the split and freaking, like whatever. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that. And, to see them VH1, 2, Women and Children First, Fair Warning, Diver Down, absolutely those as well. But honestly, 5150 would be such a close second. But for me, it would probably be the Monsters of Rock, or when they went back to the OU 81 tour, when they finished the Monsters of Rock tour and then went back to the rest of the remaining of the OU 812 tour, because during the Monsters of Rock tour, they played Sucker on a 3-piece, and they alleviated the song 5150. And I love both, but 5150 is one of my favorite songs. And then once they finished the Monsters of Rock, they went back to playing the song 5150. And they played it live in Milwaukee, 88. Johnny probably has the show live, and I do too, because I see what Johnny.
That's my favorite song too, dude.
Yeah, well, my 4 favorite Van Halen songs, my 4 favorite: Ain't Talking About Love, Unchained, Summer Nights, and 5150. Those are my 4 favorite Van Halens. If I had to pick 4 songs to have on a desert island for the rest of my life, it would be Unchained, Ain't Talking About Love, 2 raw songs, 5150, and Summer Nights. Good enough would be close, and then it's hard to alleviate Balance, because Seventh Seal and Don't Tell Me and Amsterdam. It's hard to alleviate those. But if I had to pick, it would be an OU 812 show, because I just love that energy they had. Eddie was still playing the Steinberger guitar for Summer Nights. They were playing 5150, and in the OU 812 tour, he tuned it back up to standard. He wasn't playing it a whole step down. On the album 5150, he played a half step down. He played an E flat. Right. Live, he played a whole step down. It just sounded too sloppy. I still love it. I mean, Live Without a Net, it's one of the best solos ever. But at the same time, OU 812, if you listen to the Tokyo show, I mean, I have a bunch of others. Everybody else watching the show doesn't know about those. Go out, watch 5150, the song on the Tokyo show, when Eddie plays the song 5150 in standard. It just sounds.
Wearing a striped shirt.
Yeah, it's amazing. So if I had to pick one, it would be an OU 812 show.
So have you seen the show in Buffalo, New York, where the camera's like way up in like the nosebleeds? Yeah, some guy sent a few, like 7 or 8 years ago, a guy sent me a multi-cam version of that Buffalo show. I have a 3-cam version of that. I have the up close one, the nosebleed, and then there's a one from a side shot, and the guy keeps bouncing back and forth between all 3. Yeah, that's a good show. I thought that nosebleed footage was I couldn't keep my eyes off it. It was incredible.
Yeah.
That's just amazing.
I'll have to rip you a copy of that show, the one I got. It's like I said, it's a 3-cam show.
That'd be cool.
It sounds actually really good. The Buffalo show.
Yeah, they were having fun, man.
And it's funny because oh gosh, Live Without a Net. Eddie breaks a string and can't drive 55 on the 5150 guitar, and he has to play Ain't Talking About Love on the Steinberger, right?
Yep.
In the Buffalo show, 1988, Eddie breaks a string and I Can't Drive 55, and he plays Ain't Talking About Love on the Steinberger GL2T in the Buffalo show, 1988, the next tour.
Wow, what are the chances of that?
What are the chances of that, right? And I have video of both, obviously. Everybody's got Live Out on Net. Not a lot of people have Buffalo. And it's an 88 show. It's an OU 812 show. It might be Providence, Rhode Island. I have it. I forget which might be Providence. Eddie breaks a string right at the end of the song before he goes into his guitar solo, and he plays half of his guitar solo on the Steinberger GL2T.
No way.
Half of it. Yep. And then he stops and he takes the bar. You know the Steinberger Trans Trem. He always has the bar like it's not dangling like this. He's got it locked up on the side. Or it's not locked, but it's like because you can grab it, whatever. It's a floater. It's not to the flush with the body.
Yep. He
takes the bar and he does this. He goes all the way around, so it does float like that.
Really?
Because he's not playing Summer Nights or Get Up. He's doing a guitar solo, so he wants to be able to grab that bar. He doesn't want it sitting right there. He wants it dangling, so it's out of the way, so he can do his tremolo picking. Right?
Yeah, muscle memory.
Yep. And halfway through the solo, he goes back to the 5150 guitar because he just wanted to play it until Zeke put a new string on it and tuned it up.
Right.
Because he probably popped his high E or his B. Which brings me to the last thing I'm going to say is after all these years of playing guitar, playing Van Halen guitars, I have two guitars of mine that have the Floyd Roses where they're floaters, but the bar is right here. So you just kind of grab it. You know, it just kind of sits here. It doesn't like my Van Halen guitars.
Right.
I cannot play a guitar with a Floyd with the bar sits here. It has to be dangling. It's so freaking weird because when I start tremolo picking or doing shit, my finger's hitting the freaking bar because it's in the way. Now I know why Eddie always wanted it like that, because if you have the bar like this, it's just in the freaking way. It's you can't, you know. So I have a hard time playing guitar when the bar is kind of stuck there or sitting there. I have to have it loose like Eddie's, and I like it with a lot of play. It's got that, you know, half an inch of play that feels like it's broken, as Sammy used to say, you know.
Right. All my guitars are the same way, loose. Even my white and black one, I leave it loose too, even though it's not even a Floyd. It's just what you get used to, and it's almost like for me, it's almost you sweep up when you grab the bar. And eventually you're
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And we can get into all kind of geeky stuff in next shows and talk about why Eddie had little, you know, holes drilled in the bodies of the Star guitar and his bumblebees, because what that did is it kept the bar from swinging around. It would just hit that. It wouldn't swing. But that's all real geeky shit. We got to wrap this up.
Yeah, I got to go. I got to take my daughter's car to get transmission flushed in it.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
No, probably a couple $100, but
I know nothing's cheap these days. But.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, thanks for doing this. I knew we wouldn't be searching for topics for sure.
You know, the best. I mean, it's nice to start out with a show. We're going to talk about this, but you know, it always kind of goes other directions, and that's awesome. But again, I just want to say thank you to everybody for watching the show. And if you just jumped in halfway through or 3/4 of the way through, you know, and you got some time, buzz back to the beginning and watch it. It was, I think we talked about a couple of cool things. But happy birthday to Wolfgang! Happy 30.
Yep.
Kurt, it was great, man. And everybody watching the show, thank you. And we'll be doing some more. I think Kurt and I are probably going to do another show. Probably the next one I think we should do is probably on the sounds, the tones of the album.
Fun. That'd be fun.
Good.
Keep playing, guys. Happy birthday, Wolfgang. Check out Dweezil Zappa and Rob's show for sure. His great channel. And we'll do this again. Appreciate you guys. Have a good night.
Keep sending me free hats. Jimmy, good to see you too, buddy. Hey, let's get together soon. Yeah, definitely. Everybody, thank you so much. Awesome show, and we'll see you soon.
Rock on.
Rock on. I'll call you.
All right. Later, buddy.
Good night, guys.